one back in early seasons of Series E. Now Slepon taking a lot of damage, and I mean,
even shots are starting to connect with Borden does, and they're going down Sung, making the thing sang right there.
As he hopped back on with Nerf. Nerf looking like they want to close in another fight. Forsey with the shots, and goodbye to
on this doorway and those windows, and they should be able to fight it out. Meanwhile, Intel getting into another battle, clear way across the map. Intel breaking.
Mike and Ike are getting aggressive. They got first knock. Actually, Z Davis once again with that charge rifle, but Bronzy.
No, eccentric from above as well. So
you see what Eccentric's up to. They're making the flank on down below. Touch E1. Put it down becoming 2. Now it's a 2-on-2 situation. Maybe a 2-on-1. It is a 2-on-1.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to Series E Apex Legends. It's a Wednesday afternoon, and that means it's time to have some fun. My name is Yeso. I'm joined today by a very good friend of mine. It's Why Not, but I think I'm going to let you do the full introduction, my friend.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Casting, and I'm kind of a freaking big deal, and I'm ready for some Apex.
Oh, man. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, Tony. It's great to watch some Apex here today as well, of course, because we're getting ready for London tomorrow. We are just on the eve here of the Split 1 playoffs for ALGS. And so we get, a nice little palate cleanser before all the action kicks off tomorrow. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But looking here towards tonight, we can bring up the rules for you folks at home just so everybody is aware of how things work here. We've got 6 games ahead of us here tonight, and we'll pull up all that information for you right now. There it is. We're going to start with 3 games on World's Edge, 3 on Storm Point. The point format should look exactly the way you remember it. ALGS point system here, 1 point per kill. The distributed points there for placement as well. And I believe prizing tonight is $500 because it is an open night tonight. So a lot of teams that usually come and play in Series E out in London right now, of course, for that huge tournament. So things will be a little bit different tonight. Still going to see a lot of the partnered squads, as you can see on your screen right now, but a mix of names that you maybe won't recognize as much.
Yeah, definitely going to be some squads that you still have to watch out for. Every time we talk about our partner squads, we always have to mention Mike and Nike. I think last week they finished out in 5th place, not too bad whatsoever. Razor had a really tough start in the beginning of last week, but then they turned it up seemingly out of nowhere, ended up in 7th place. So, like you said, a lot of good squads. I even see some Halo boys as well. That's Soupy and Oxygen Josh being joined by Eli Elite. He rocked the Esports Arena banner not too long ago for the Halo Blue Esports Arena Blue roster. So really excited to see him competing in Apex. So we're gonna see if he can hang with the big boys.
Definitely going to be fun to watch. Also, a team that I love to see here is Team Diverge. These are a few names that are regulars in Series E over the years. Sleepy Panda has been around for a long time. Of course, GS Bird, if you remember back to Season 2, was a part of that Rice Krispies roster that went on to do some great things in the pro scene. Aj as well. Definitely very talented player there that has played in multiple different iterations of squads here in Series E. So that's a really solid team. A lot of talent there. Very excited to see what they can do here today. But other than that, quite a few very good players and an opportunity, since it is an open night with the pro squads occupied with London. Some maybe lesser known names have the opportunity here today to not only win some cash, but, kind of cut their teeth against some really talented players and get a name for themselves.
Yeah, I just noticed something. Yeah, so they tried to sneak up in here. Didn't Turbo compete under the team name Slept On? But just last week, if I remember correctly, I remember Psycho, Zerbo, and Sung. I'm pretty sure they were competing under the team Slept On and got 3rd place with 43 points, now going under team Turbo. I may be wrong on that one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Yeso.
I'm scrolling back up to see if I have the rosters from last week. I think I do. I don't see Slept On here. Do I see a Turbo? I'm not sure. Those are definitely names that I recognize and that we have seen here before. Sung, formerly of Team Vizio, seen quite a bit of them. Psycho, a very talented player that has been kind of right on the fringe of top-level pro teams here for just a little bit here. But those are definitely names I recognize. It may have changed. This might not be the most up-to-date rosters that I have from last week, but I don't think you're far off.
I found it. It is them.
There you go. Okay.
Because we're in a different Discord channel,
Okay.
so they try to throw us a so they try to throw us a curveball. They got us in a different Discord channel. It was in the other one. It was slept on. They were sneaking in there. That's the number 3 squad, 43 points, just 4 points behind DZ. I knew my memory wasn't that bad. I just casted last week.
Good eye on that one, Tony. Yeah, and I mean, look, these are really good players. Sung, even a player that I've gotten to meet and hang out with in person. Very, very good dude, kind of soft-spoken. You get out and have dinner with him, looses up a little bit. Very, very good time and a very talented player. And don't let him get a charge rifle in his hand, man. I mean, charge rifles, look, you don't want anybody to have one, but Sung should be the last player on that list get one in his hand because he could be an absolute menace. We are getting ready to get into our first game here. I think they're just getting the last couple of players into the lobby, ready to go to drop onto World's Edge here today. But we should be ready for that here momentarily, folks. So we appreciate you sticking with us. Tony, I want to come to you just kind of for your general thoughts right now on the state of the meta. We've seen some changes coming through here in the last couple of seasons. Of course, Horizon continues to be very prevalent. The Seer, maybe not quite as much, but still around. So where are you at on kind of the Legend meta right now?
I think it's pretty wide open. I'm really excited to see where we're at. You can definitely experiment a bit. Like you mentioned, Horizon and Seer are so strong. If you're a big offensive team, you want to play that edge, you're really confident within your gun skill. Those are two obviously legends you want in your composition, usually combining it with like a Valkyrie. And then I think we saw CLG get really interesting with it. I think they had a Wraith, Caustic, and a Mad Maggie combination where they would throw that wrecking ball, get your Caustic in the fight, and obviously that Caustic ult is so powerful with no other Caustics on the map. He just gained so much more value. That was really interesting. We saw that more on World's Edge as opposed to Storm Point. So right now it's really open for you to try to experiment. So all you Mirage and Revenant mains, get on out there and do your thing. There's a place for you. I'm gonna pick your brain back.
Okay.
What if we decided to maybe vault a few legends like per season or something, or even per tournament or something? Maybe we go in and we say, you know what, if on this tournament day or this season, no Horizon, no Seer, say no Watson. Would you be open to that and whatnot? A changing meta, or is that, we gotta have everything allowed at all times?
So this has been something that has been talked about when legends have been hyper prevalent. I mean, at the start of the Horizon Seer meta post ALGS championships, there were a lot of people talking about doing that, right? Just saying, hey, can we vault the Horizon? Can we vault the Seer for this tournament? And I understand the sentiment, but I feel like I think you can make an argument that it is difficult to do when I'm going to propose with the meta that we've been in. But I think what that does is it doesn't force teams out of their comfort zone to try and find counters in different things that can open up opportunities when certain things become prevalent. And that's the last thing that I want to see. So ultimately, I can understand why teams feel that way and the frustration around picks like the Horizon and the Seer becoming so prevalent in the play style that they allow. But ultimately, especially because I think that can just hard nerf teams that, like, hey, we're a team that plays X style and we believe that these legends best allow us to play the style, but if you vault it, then it's just like, oh, we just don't get to play our game. And I think that's not fun. So I would rather see teams more focusing on trying to iterate on the meta and figure out the things that are going to work. And I think what I'm really looking forward to, as we just touched on London coming this weekend, is the meta is, I feel like, it's always going to change around large patches where we see big updates to different legends and new ones coming out that change the meta. But I also think the other big meta-defining times are international events, and it's what happened at Champs, right? When all these different regions come together, because we've very much seen over the last few years that different regions play so differently, that cross-pollination that we get at these international events, I think, brings out the best in a lot of these players, for one, and two, it opens people's eyes to different picks. It's what Furia did with the Horizon and the Seer, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the teams from South America, APAC, EMEA bring to this event and how it changes the global meta. And I think while we may not necessarily see it in domestic play in the first couple of weeks afterwards, I think when you look 3 to 4 weeks out from this split one playoffs, we're going to really start to see those changes developing, and especially when we get a new update that we know is coming very soon to the classes for Legends, that things are really going to start to shift.
Waiting for game one to get underway here, and speaking of meta, because almost as important as Legends is the maps as well. It's actually crazy. In a tournament setting like Apex, which requires you to be consistent over the course of 6 games, you have 2 totally different maps that we play on. We've seen teams find massive success on World's Edge and not able to carry that over into Stormpoint, or vice versa. So I always found that very interesting, that with these tournament-like settings where consistency is so important, you have 2 totally different maps, and some teams that are going to really excel on one and maybe not on the other. You know, I love Bangalore on Stormpoint, but even though he's strong on World's Edge, you get the same value as you do on Stormpoint with those wide open. So it's really, I always find it really interesting, the differences between World's Edge and Stormpoint. Can you name some legends or name some tactics that might differ from the first 3 maps going into the second 3?
I think some of the picks we've certainly seen coming out that aren't prevalent across the board, but you see the swaps come up, is the Bangalore and the Bloodhound. I think those are a couple of picks that a lot of teams have been mixing in. Of course, these are legacy legends that a lot of these players have been playing since the game released, and getting to kind of bring those back into their repertoire because they feel like they can fit the style that they play on Stormpoint is really nice. So Bangalore and Bloodhound definitely stand out for me. I also want to make a point, you bringing up the differences between these maps, and just point out that, you know, prior to Stormpoint, we were pretty much exclusively playing World's Edge in any competitive event. And I think it isn't talked about enough, but I feel like the addition of Stormpoint and then creating the rule set in the pro scene where now we swap between maps is actually the best change to competitive play we have seen since the start of Apex Legends. Because the differences in these maps are so drastic, and the fact that it has forced teams to become more flexible and have to work on their ability to adjust their play style has benefited the competitive scene greatly. And it makes me so happy to see it, because I think it has just been so good for the Apex Legends competitive scene. But Tony, we're on to World's Edge. We're on to El Clasico here to start off the day. It's game 1, and we're checking in with Intel at Landslide.
Yeah, one thing I'm happy about, not only is different maps, different metas, different combinations, but also that we are getting into game number 1, and we already see a 50-50 gunfight here on Landslide. Will it be a landslide victory in favor of Intel right now? They have the high ground. They have the angles. I love the way they're defending this. But can they close it out? We're already down to 17 squads, and I see another team getting dropped on the kill feed already. And the Mozambique, I didn't know it was that good for mid-range. Okay, I mean, out of a Mastiff and a Mozambique, I don't know which one you're going to use as mid-range, but I'm guessing Flinzer has decided to go with the Mozam.
Yeah, looking in for the push. These players just inside of this Carton Flinzer maybe wants to get around, chase them down. We hit the gravity lift. Gonna get a bit of a tag range with the Mozam, but not gonna do a ton of damage. But Intel seems fully committed. They want to chase these players down, get this early KP, and get things started on the right note.
We have a Loba player already with the blue shields. Double whited up right now with Intel, but I'm not mad at that whatsoever, because it looks like they're going to disengage. Right? They're not going to chase them. You know, possibly chasing a team into one situation might get you into a terrible one. So looks like they're going to rotate back here. maybe try to get themselves a vault key, get themselves even better loot. That's one thing I love about having a Loban landslide. Even though you don't have the best loot over in this POI, that Loba can really help you steal from the vault, really help you secure yourself a vault key and get you kind of stabilized with the rest of the lobby, even coming off of what I consider a weaker POI when it comes to loot.
Dang, and Flynn's are getting a gold and purple shield there out of that bot. That is a huge drop here to start things off for Intel. So such a stroke of luck for them. I also do want to point out for the folks at home, if you may have noticed the new little graphic at the top of your screen, that is an indicator for the nearest squads to the one that you are watching currently. So at any time, if you're wondering if there is a squad close, just check the top of your screen, and that graphic will indicate the 3 nearest squads to the one we are currently watching. And also, it'll have a little graphic there, especially for the top 3 squads to indicate maybe if there's a top contender in the area. So shout out to one of our production hands, Fizzy, for putting that one together. Great new addition to the Series E graphical setup, so that'll help you keep track of some squads while these teams are fighting. Trying to get that Arc Star through the window, though. Washi not going to be able to get the toss, and they're just going to back off for the moment. But some good shots with the 30-30. The crack there from back, no work.
Nade starting to come in from Razor. Only 1 play with the purple shield, 2 more with white, but with shots like that, hopefully he'll be able to upgrade it. Looks like our enemy team has made it to the high ground here. Born's now going to be forced to back down, play the life. The Maggie Drill is coming in, and finally Team 16 will end up getting eliminated here, bringing us down to 16 squads. Razor lived to see another fight, and as you can see on the top corner of your screen, like you said, not only to mention who are the closest teams, we also mentioned how far away they are. 101 meters from 200 meters. It looks like Kraken's Lair Gaming want to get involved with this fight.
Yeah, also apologies to the folks at home. If you do watch the kill feed, it is only going to give you team numbers. We had a little bug with the lobby that didn't allow for TOs or players to change the names of the teams in the lobby. So shout out to Fizzy again, creating some baked-in graphics that do have the team names displayed. But that kill feed won't be quite as reliable for those team names. But Kraken's Lair has arrived, as you were pointing out there, Tony. They've already got a couple of knocks. Razor in big trouble.
And as you say that, it looks like Razor ends up being taken down, and the closest team is going to be Halo Boys, about 500 meters away. So Kraken's Lair Gaming having plenty of time to loot up, get fully loaded here. They already find themselves within the circle round 1 zone, obviously closing in. So Kraken's Lair executing that third party to perfection, making sure they secure themselves the kills, get the other team out of the way and into the lobby. Now they have so much resources, so much armor to work with. Going into 14 squads, Kraken's Lair must be feeling comfortable.
Yeah, and the nice thing for them, too, is they have plenty of space there in Skyhook. There wasn't a team within 500 meters of them. And a fairly quick rotation just down to the southwest there of Skyhook is where that circle is starting to pull. So Kraken's Lair in a wonderful position. They could take their time, loot up, get in a solid position for that next zone. We're checking in here with Team Diverge. Only 2 players this game, just GS Bird and Aj. So they are trying to get something going here, but a tough start for them, down 1 of their members here in the first game of the day. Important to note, 14 squads remaining at this point, so quite a bit of early action here, and GS Bird going to eat some shots, backing away on this Valkyrie, maybe looking to poke with that first shot, but isn't going to be able to quite get it, and Max Passion here, just inside the south side of Lava Fissure, are the ones threatening there on Team Diverge.
If Esports Arena will allow me, I'll drop in on their team right now. Team Diverge, if you need a teammate, I'm coming right now. But my gosh, so is the damage. Looks like our Seer player from Max Passion going all the way down to 1 shot. Luckily able to make it in just in time to start to get the heals. Going to use that Watson generator to really help out there, but that was really dangerous. The moment they go 1 down, I can only imagine that 1, if not multiple teams would try to close the distance, especially with G's Birds and Team Diverge really wanted to maximize their KP despite not having a full threesome. Max Passion better be careful. Those Watson fences, they don't take that much damage.
Meanwhile, TSG over here in Fragment, and Sladoom going to take some shots there, backs away to hit the battery, and it looks like the push is on its way. This team wants to get in, and that's going to be the black hole from the horizon, and TSG's in trouble.
One quickly going down for TSG. The second one falls as well, and it is Turbo. They told you not to sleep on them last week. Now they're telling you that they're upping the pace of their gameplay. That's a quick elimination for them as they bring us down to lucky 13 squads. Team Turbo looking to make it towards the end game. Is not just them. Aegon now peeking from afar. Enough damage. We could see that Maggie ball being dropped. We could see that Bangalore ult being dropped and them try to take space through it. But here comes the Seer ult. Might have been used defensively to try to keep them at bay. Not a bad strategy coming out of our opponents, which I'm gonna assume is Super Silly Gaming. Oh, okay.
It is quite the name there, Tony. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm a big fan of it. We'll see if it pays off. But Aegon gonna clear out this Seer ultimate and just bide their time a little bit. Looking to hit the bat. Scan's going to come through, so Super Silly does have the information. The scan will come back, though, from the Bloodhound. And there we go. We check in, and Super Silly has got the shots. It's Box of Tea, Drast, and Gruick. And they want to go for the push. They get that early damage. They're feeling confident here. Gravity Lift's going to get the angle here for Box of Tea, but he is going to get knocked, so Super Silly going to have to back away.
Box OT takes to the skies, and what goes up must come down, gets dropped quick. But Super Silly Gaming working this perfectly. You see our Valkyrie player in Drast doing a great job of holding off this team with the cross-map shots while the other one goes for the res. But here comes Orioles with passion. That Bangalore comes in, and the Prowler's been hitting so hard. Finally, Orioles goes down. That's going to leave Aegon as a duo. Luckily, the smoke should provide cover for them to come in quick for the res. Team 12 were eliminated, bringing us down to 12 squads at the moment here. Aegon looking good to make it toward the end game. They find themselves comfortably within the zone. 46 seconds until round 2 will start to close in.
Yeah,
is that Kraber?
that is a Graber. A good bit of kind of bend but don't break play there by Aegon. Super Silly with the scans and the push, and they get the initial damage and force Aegon to back away. But Aegon doing such a good job of backing off, and then as soon as Super Silly over-aggresses, they get those great shots on Boxity, get the knock, and then the response is immediate. Aegon right back up to the high ground. The res comes through on Boxity, but they immediately get the re-knock and push through for the complete wipe. So just such a good play there by Aegon, absorbing the initial pressure and then immediately turning it back on Super Silly as soon as they bit off more than they could chew.
We see that zone starting to close in heavily on Countdown. There's so many squads in this general vicinity. There's no way there's enough real estate to house this many squads in such a small POI, such a small area. Lava Fish and Countdown is where it's closing in. You're seeing multiple teams try to find their way in. We see not Slept On. I'm sorry, going by a new name now. But formerly known as Slept On. Turbo coming in. We have Kodagame and Cruising going to try to make their way over towards the zone. But keep in mind, over towards that south side, they're making their way through staging. They don't have many options, and there's a team that's holding them out. It's Orioles with passion, and he's going to have a little bit more than passion. Those shots are going to be able to hold Tyson out. Do they know that they might be in trouble crossing this bridge here?
Looks like they might run right into Aegon. Aegon possibly has the information. They are going to spot him out. Smoke's going to come through there from Orioles. The really interesting thing, Tony, pointing out the size of these POIs and how dense they can get. The one thing about Countdown and Lava Fissure that you get is a lot of verticality. So you can get those teams kind of stacked up on top of each other and hiding in those little nooks and crannies. So we'll have to see how these teams set up. But there is an opportunity, but things still will be very dense. So I think you make a good point about how compact these squads are going to get in these late game POIs, and with 12 of them left, it's going to be a tight fit here.
And I thought that Aegon was going to try to hold this team out, but it looks like they're electing to rotate out, get themselves in a much better position, but they are getting griefed by a charge rifle across the map. We know that Turbo and Tyson are really close by, within 100 meters, so we're going to have to assume that it's one of them. Of course, Turbo trying to find that angle, and they have the Mad Maggie. So at any point in time they get enough damage in, you'll see that Wrecking Ball come in, and you will see Turbo up the tempo. You'll see them get into the face of their opponents. They better be careful. Turbo might be on the prowl and, of course, taking height. I heard from Star Wars you're supposed to get away from the low ground or get to the
don't try
the
it,
height
Tony.
Elevating ground, something like that. I don't know.
Don't try it. They've got the high ground.
Yes.
Yeah, and the real rough part there for Aegon was they were in the middle of a very, very bad spot. Turbo on one side, Tyson on the other, and you see as soon as they get that pressure from Turbo on the north side, they immediately back away, try to find a bit of safety. And now as we check in on Max Passion, one player going down, and now Ajani trying to back away, throws down the generator to maybe provide a little bit of safety, but it's Turbo, and they're on the push. They're out for blood. They're going to clean up one, knock down the Seer ultimate, continue the chase here down towards the south side of Countdown. And Turbo looking really good. 6 KP so far, Tony. They're on a tear.
And that's exactly what we talked about. The moment they find their prey, they're going to drop that wrecking ball, and they're going to not only get themselves a really fast free rotation, but also be able to chase down teams like that. Max Passion weren't expecting to get flanked by Turbo right there, but it was well played, and now Max Passion might be down a player or two. 12 squads still on the map. Turbo still feeling comfortable enough to play the outside. They know that there's a team that's not too far. It's Aegon. Aegon trying to find himself comfortable within this circle, but Turbo holding them out. That might force Aegon to rotate early towards the west side. Looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Bangalore smoke should help them rotate, I guess, similar to a Mad Maggie ultimate, but only a passive. Much more value come out of that. Bangalore, even on World's Edge, gets even better on Storm Point.
Checking in with Aegon here. They've been in a couple of rough spots, but they've been able to kind of dip and dash out of trouble here. Now they got Force here with the Kraber. Is going to hit the shot for 112 to the body. Gets the crack onto that golden armor. Is immediately going to hit the ultimate. Scans through to get more information. They want to take control of Lava Fissure, but since they can't get that initial knock and don't find good shots on the first start of that push, they immediately back away. Force going to take quite a bit of damage. The Bangalore ult comes through. Believe that was from Orioles to keep that team from over-aggressing. They just bide their time. Shot from Force is going to miss. Kikix in a bit of trouble, and Aegon has to find themselves some safety.
Another team ends up getting eliminated as we go down to 11 squads. Pretty sure Force has had this Kraber since round 1. The luckiest bloodhound in the lobby right now. 1 minute 26 seconds, we will see round 4 zone start to close in, and Aegon are nowhere near that circle. Are they comfortable enough to fight? Another 112 to the body out of that Kraber, and that will really change the course, change the pace of this gunfight. But as of right now, Aegon, they've just taken cover, and they're playing the waiting game.
Yeah, they're in an okay spot. The problem you're going to have here is you don't have that Valkyrie for a redeploy to reposition to Countdown, so they're going to have a difficult rotation through quite a few teams to get to this next circle. So definitely decision time here for Aegon as they're trying to get a bit of an opening here. Lava Fissure and a tag for 140. Force looking good with this Kraber in hand.
Aegon and Force trying to force their way into the face of their opposition, which I believe is Timmons raid, I believe it is, just 27 meters away, but keep in mind, Halo Boys are within third-party distance. Orialis coming in with the Prowler, laying down the law immediately, that Digi-threat, trying to get value all the way through the smokes.
Halo Boys are on their way.
It looks like now it's time for them to take height.
Halo Boys are on their way. That distance just cut in half, 15 meters, 17 meters. That's going to be a third party, so they're going to fight here. Aegon, and 1 is down for them, but Halo Boys is here, so it's all about to go to chaos in Lava Fissure. Tony, Force is down, and it's up to Orioles and Kikix to make it happen.
It was actually Halo Boys that got the kill steal onto Force right there. It was Eli Elite that sneaks in there with the wingman. He gets the finish as well. Halo Boys coming in quick. Orialis the next one to drop, so now Aegon down to just one more player left. Through the smokes, through the fire and flames. It looks like Kix trying to find something. He's at least in a 1v2, I'd imagine, maybe even a 1v3. No, and Halo Boys down to the final player as well. What is going on here in Lava Fissure to get themselves the finish, but even Halo Boys in trouble.
Yeah, Soupy is going to die to that zone damage there. Was just trying to finish out whatever kills that he could to get Halo Boys all the points possible. They do end up in 10th place, I believe. So an all right first game there for the Halo Boys. And we check in with Diverge, who the last time we saw were on that south side of Lava Fissure, but found themselves a nice rotation here into Countdown, and they're in a solid spot. Intel, meanwhile, under pressure as Flinzar trying to retreat from the onslaught of this other team, down to 7 squads here. And this circle only constricting further. Flins are maybe going to get off this med kit. Knock shield is up. It's Kraken Slayer Gaming applying pressure.
Looks like a 3v1 here if they choose to push it, but Kraken Slayer not able to find an angle on that final player. There's multiple teams that within the general vicinity that are holding them out. So our opposition over toward the low ground, like you mentioned, multiple layers here to Countdown, might be able to survive a little bit longer simply because Kraken Slayer Gaming couldn't get that angle. Multiple teams here on Countdown. Kraken Slayer have found some real estate to play through, not quite in the zone just yet, but the R301 is netting some damage from across the map here. Can Kraken's Lair Gaming find himself a more comfortable position within 31 seconds?
They're in an okay spot right now. The one thing some of these squads are going to have to worry about are, I think, a couple of rats sitting around. We do definitely know of one. It was Flinzar hiding down below, and Diverge going to lose one of their members, and that is going to be Flinzar finished off. So that is one rat gone, and I think Diverge is just down to GS Bird at the moment, so important to keep an eye on there. But Kraken Slayer, they're in an okay spot. They know they have a Watson team nearby that they have to be wary of, but Bird's just hanging out on his perch.
Yeah, he's just chilling right now, you know? He got his nest built. Don't bother G's Bird. He's not going to bother you. As of right now, PG Hype getting bothered right now. Big Leggy getting forced back. They might be fenced up in towards this building, but they're not quite in the zone. They have to try to find the exit, and of course they're being held out, or held in, I should say. Team 13, and they're getting eliminated. Kraken's Lair Gaming going to be awarded the kills for that one. The charge rifle coming from across the map. Was that team forced to take low ground. Kraken's Lair Gaming not only just eliminated one team, but now has a perfect angle on another. They're going to drop down and get aggressive here. We're down to 4 squads. The Prowler coming out once again here. That's like that. We're down to 3 squads. Kraken's Lair Gaming have to play the res real quick. Get your sear up. They're going to have to be fully loaded. It's down to 2 squads, and Kraken's Lair Gaming have their opposition right in their sights. The team formerly known as Slept On. It's going to be Turbo versus Kraken's Lair Gaming.
Yeah, Turbo want to go for the push here. Thankfully for Loner, able to get off that battery, so very healthy on this Valkyrie, but we'll have to see if it can pay off. They are going to trade knock for knock here. Who's going to win it, Tony?
High ground being held. Both players end up going down. A Horizon player has to come down here. The shots are looking good, but at the end of the day, you're in a 1v2. That's not the match he was looking for. Kraken's Lair Gaming end up getting eliminated. That's how you start off a tournament.
Well played. Honestly, Kraken Slayer felt like they were at the right place at the right time for a good portion of this game. But unfortunately, that one player getting knocked completely stalls that setup for the final fight, puts them on the back foot. And Turbo did a great job of recognizing that, pushing up and not giving them the breathing room to get any sort of reset there. So while they are able to get the res through, there's not nearly enough health for the full reset, and Turbo do a good job of cleaning up those kills, keeping 2 players alive, and they end up taking the win. Big W for them.
I said it before, it was last week that this, I think it's 2 out of 3 players. They did have Psycho, and I believe I saw his name was Air American TTV, if I saw it correctly. So there is a different player in the lobby, but either way, just last week, they got 3rd place and were just 4 points behind 2nd. This week, it looks like they seem to coming for that #1 spot. I was really impressed the way Kraken's Lair Gaming played that out. Like I said, they held the team in, got themselves an elimination, found themselves a great angle over towards the mid of Countdown. I think Kraken's Lair Gaming played that well, but eventually that one player going down really forced them in that bad position, and eventually Turbo just upped the tempo.
Yeah, and I also think they did a really good job. We checked in with that 2-player squad inside of the building before that circle closed. They did such a good job of cutting off the rotation, so that team was boxed in and had to choose between taking the straight 2v3 fight or just dying to zone, and picked up some easy KP on that front. So well played there from Kraken Slayer, but this game does belong to Turbo. Let's take a look, though, at our Mobile One high performance moment here from our first game of the day, and it's going to be the finish. You see Kraken Slayer dropping down to the low ground, cleaning up a little bit of this KP, but the problem is its pie gets knocked on the low ground, and while they get the quick finish while Turbo is finishing off that 3rd squad, the res comes through and they get the armor swap, but its pie still very low on that white health. And even with Loner getting off this battery, the aggression is well played here by Turbo, And while one player is healing, Turbo is applying a ton of pressure to the rest of Kraken's lair, and that's how they wipe this out, because Loner Zane goes down, and now it's down to 2 players at about 50% health, and Turbo just really doesn't miss at the end.
You see with Kraken's lair game, obviously you had your Horizon that had that height advantage, but right off of the res, there was 2 players that were stuck literally on top of each other, but behind that small bit of cover to work with. And we all know from any video game, whether it's Call of Duty, Halo, or Apex, when there's 2 players that are stuck together, your best friend is creating angles on them. If you can't go wide, I guess the second best, or sometimes even the best option, is to go up, and that's the value that Horizon offers you. It allows you to create an angle seemingly out of nowhere. Look, they're stuck here. There's nowhere to go. What is your best friend? It is simply taking angles, make them look in multiple directions, make them feel surrounded, suffocated, and eventually punished. That's exactly what happens. Kraken's Lair Gaming played well. Eventually, Turbo just played better towards that end game.
Yeah, and they just fought essentially that entire fight from the health advantage. So it was really only a matter of time, unless they could get, a really good team fire on one player to turn the tables. Turbo was going to have the advantage the whole time. Let's take a look at our Mobile One leaderboard and see where all of these teams stand. No surprise to see Turbo at the top. A huge 31-point performance. That is 29 kills for the squad, with Kraken Slayer there in second at 16. Rounding out that top 5 is Mike and Ike, Aegon by AOC, and Tyson. But that is a banger to start the day from Turbo.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams that I already had my eye on, Turbo, Mike and Ike, and Aegon by AOC. Those are my 3 teams that I'm watching out for right off the rip. Halo Boys and Razor, 2 more teams that I expected to see a little bit further up that list. 5 and 4 points is great, but when you have teams dropping 31 bombs and 16 bombs, it kind of feels a little lackluster. Going into game number 2, I would like to see them try to climb up that leaderboard, but so far we know the strong teams are out here. Turbo's the real deal. Mike and Ike are looking solid. Aegon, these are your heavy hitters in the lobby. Who else is going to join them towards these end games?
Yeah, definitely need to see Razor not having the slow start that they did last week. We'll see if they can get things rolling and who may else get to the top of this leaderboard when we come back. Game 2 on the other side of this break.
I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a promise.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
one game down, 5 more to go, and there's one thing I can promise you: we're gonna see a mix-up in this leaderboard going from game to game to game, and game number 2 is about to be on its way. Yeso, how did you feel about the start of this tournament so far?
Big game from Turbo. Kingslayer with a solid start there. Of course, that gap widens a little bit when you aren't slaying out like crazy like Turbo was, but they get the second place finish. And that Kingslayer did a good job of putting themselves in a position to succeed at multiple different points in that game. And that's the reason they finished in second place. Now, they just need to keep that consistency going, because the question is really going to be, can anybody catch up to Turbo right now? Because I think it is certainly feasible to look at them as the odds-on favorite coming into today with the experience that roster has and the kind of talent. So the question is, can somebody slow them down? Because them starting with a 19-kill, 31-point first game win does not bode well for the lobby if you can't kneecap that team in a couple of these early games to keep things close.
As much as we talk about consistency being key to any Apex tournament, it's always nice to start off with a bang and really send a message throughout the rest of the lobby. And that's exactly what Turbo did. Turbo let everybody know that, look, we're not afraid to get into gunfights. We're not afraid to get into these end games. And we're also here as one of the favorites, especially on World's Edge, which our second map is going to be on just 2 more games here on World's Edge before we switch over into Stormpoint. And we've already seen kind of the same meta really, rear its ugly head. We've seen the Horizons, we've seen the Seers. I don't think I've seen many Bloodhounds, but I did see a couple Bangalores within the composition. And of course, we've seen Valkyrie players. Is there any other legend you would like to see players really start to experiment with besides the normal run-of-the-mill, again, Horizon, Seers, Valkyries?
At this point, I kind of wish that Newcastle still had a little bit more of a presence in the meta, because I think the way that he can set up fixed positions with his ultimate and playing around his tactical shield, I think it makes him for some really interesting gameplay. And of course, the reset ability that you have with him being able to pull that down member out of trouble and get the res, and especially if you can get him that gold knockdown to get the buffed res. I'm a big Newcastle fan, and I really like what he brings to the game. We saw people bringing it out in Champs. 100 Thieves was one of the teams that was playing there. And it's been sprinkled around here and there over the time since Champs happened. But I feel like it's kind of fallen off. I'm hoping we can bring it back. I'm just really curious to see, again, as we talked about at the top, what kind of things are people going to have their minds open to by this international play? How is the meta going to shift with the cross-pollination between regions? And I'm just looking forward to seeing that trickle-down effect here in North America, because it does feel like, while there are things kind of like the Bangalore in the Bloodhound that are sneaking in a little bit, the meta does feel fairly stale, because it continues to be Seer and Horizon with the highest priority. And I want to see teams more willing to mix things up.
Well, I can't promise you a Newcastle, but I can promise you a Mad Maggie
Okay.
that we'll talk about a little bit later on. We see another 50-50 gunfight. Of course, it's Intel coming in once again. Already find us out the first knock, and a little bit of disrespect here coming out of Icy. You don't need to get your shields back. You're good. That's just disrespectful. Team 15 are going to be eliminated. We're already down to 18 squads, and Team Intel getting themselves a bit of juice to work with. Not done just yet. Hunting down our Valkyrie player. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. 99 to the body. Team 16. We'll see you in the lobby as well. And more body disrespect coming in. I see the tea bags. I'm not sure they like that flavor.
Yeah, I think that's Intel saying, we'll see you in the lobby, but we better not see you here in Landslide in Game 3. This is RPOI, and a very definitive statement from them here in these first 2 games, as Team Tyson got to find Masita Goat there and clean up another squad. So we had that Western pull last game. We headed to Countdown and Lava Fissure. This time we're headed to the opposite side of the map. This is likely going to be a heavy geyser pull with the way that circle is set up. This should pull even further south, and this is very much going to be laid up on that eastern edge here of World's Edge. So you could see Diverge in an all right spot here for this circle, Orioles and the rest of the Aegon squad in an okay spot as well. So keep an eye on these teams as they look to rotate out east.
Yeah, his rotation going to be also important. I'm actually really interested in Turbo, who actually decided to land Geyser. What are they going to do from here? Because they seem to want to play edge. No Name want to play out of this building because right now they're getting surrounded. Looks like Den Prime, the first one to go down. Chickies I want to go with the R99. Able to find himself a knock, finishes off Oxygen Josh of Halo Boys. No Name defending this spot beautifully, and looks like they even have enough time to go in for the res, while it looks like our Mad Maggie players gonna hold off, providing that cover fire. Well played by No Name to get them back up to fully loaded. Defending here on Lava Fisher, Halo Boys down to just their final player, and it's Soupy. It looks like wants to try to rat it out, but when your opposing team has a Seer, there's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. No Name come in, and we have a new kill leader.
Yeah, and well played from No Name. Looks like they really didn't get many points on the board in their first game, so this is going to be a good start for them to kind of get their feet wet in game number 2, and they've got to get things rolling. Meanwhile, we're checking in with Kraken's Lair Gaming. Of course, it's back to Skyhook, where we saw them early on in game 1, and they were cleaning up a couple of fights here before they rotated to Countdown, and they had plenty of space to work with after that fight. So if they can clear this out, it looks like they will have much the same. It's going to be Razor once again, and then no other teams within 400 meters of the squad. So Kraken's Lair once again needs to win one fight, and then they will have complete control of Skyhook.
I was gonna say, what's Pi doing with all themselves? I already know now. He's charging up the Sentinels. Got himself a bit of a mini Kraber right now. Also has a Mad Maggie drill to try to avoid damage here. Whoa. Our Horizon player does take a lot more damage than expected. They're gonna back down and waste the Phoenix as opposed to a battery. This is a long-range fight. Both of these teams are just kind of poking damage at each other, but keep in mind, the opposing team does have a Mad Maggie, so too much damage coming in from Kraken's Lair Gaming, and we could see that Wrecking Ball come in and see that team try to gain value. Both of these teams well outside the zone right now with round 1 hill closing in, so I can only imagine one of these teams must be thinking rotate or hard fight.
Yeah, and it looks like Kraken's Lair just wants to hit that initial Sentinel shot, and that'll likely be the go button, because if you can get that initial crack, and then you follow it up with a Horizon ultimate, it certainly opens the door for the fight, but it seems like since they aren't going to get it, they just elect to hit the Valkyrie ultimate, take it to the skies, and go for the rotation. Razor able to get some solid damage as they hit that redeploy, but now Razor all alone here in Skyhook. They can hit some crafting materials, craft up a little bit, and then they've got to head out because that zone is closing, and they've got a bit of a ways to go.
I love how nobody's going to point out that Yeso just said that Kraken's Lair Gaming was looking for that initial crack. I heard it. I heard what you did. I don't respect it. I do not respect it one bit.
I'm sorry.
As intel. I have a team fairly close to them, within 101 meters, actually Kraken's Lair Gaming. So be careful. Intel could get pushed out here, but as of right now, find himself within the zone, round 1 zone closing in. And we still have 14 squads remaining, plenty of loot here on the fragment side. So as you know, that's the reason why TSM continues to land here, right? There's so much good loot, right? A fragment east?
Yep. That's why they still land there in ALGS, right?
Every time I see a tournament, they're fighting hard for it.
Yep. And Sentinels is very thankful that they still land in Fragment, right? Oh, unfortunate. Sorry. Let's check in, though, with God by AOC. They had a solid first game. Couple of good early fights here. Not much going on early in this game with 14 squads remaining, but they're going to hit some shots here on this player just on the high ground above them. But Force is going to get knocked while they are able to crack shields on one player. Force not in a very comfortable position. Kikix is going to go for the res here inside of the smoke and should be able to get it off, but Aegon getting caught with their pants down just a little bit there, and Force going to be able to likely get off that Phoenix kit. They're just going to need to back off from this fight unless they want to full send it. I mean, there's an opportunity here. You can hit the gravity lift here from Kikix and go for the aggression here on a Max Passion. What's the choice going to be?
I will say I do love that play by Aegon. The early smoke allowed him to go coming quick with the res, and you're seeing that gold prowler coming to work. It is so strong as it is, and when it's gold out, bling bling, Aegon trying to get into the face of opposition. Might have bit off a little bit more than he can chew, because Kikis does end up going down. That's going to leave Aurealis and Force by themselves in this gunfight here. Team 7 do end up getting eliminated. And looks like the third party not coming in. So Aegon, they come in quick. Kikis does enough damage, despite going down, does enough damage for the rest of his team to pick up the pieces. But now they gotta watch out for a third party. It's Turbo coming in. They are fully loaded. Wrecking Ball is out, and they have a Prowler of their own.
Yep, they want to get in here. The res was able to come through from the side of Aegon, but it isn't going to be enough here, though maybe they turn it on its head. Turbo, just one shot, trying to finish off this last player. Turbo just barely survives.
You can't spell Turbo without Zerbo, and you can't spell Apex without third party. Icy of Intel getting right over toward the low ground, providing max damage with that Volt, chasing the Seer play out. Luckily the Q comes in quick for them to get the high ground. Love the adaptability coming out of Turbo right there. Got out with the quickness, but Intel were still chasing them down. Intel were still scrambling. As of right now, beautifully played the high ground, but looks like Jet ends up going down. Icy wants to come in quick.
Icy.
Beautiful shots coming out, but shots coming right back at him. Flintsard, the final player, is able to clean them up. It took them a while, but Intel coming. But now Tyson are hungry. It's a 5th, 6th, 7th party. Everyone's invited. It's a block party here on World's Edge.
Yeah, Cruising gonna go down here, but Tyson's still in an okay spot. Looks like they're gonna play for the res. All I gotta say, Icy. I get it. You know, we're friends. I appreciate getting to sit down and interview, but imitation, not quite the best form of flattery here. Do not imitate my shots in Apex. There's a reason I'm in silver, my friend. I don't know what was going on there with that Volt. Icy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in that fight. What was going on?
I know, I was casting with a silver player. They didn't tell me that. Guys, they didn't tell me that. But by gosh,
peak plat, but that doesn't really mean all that much more.
Yeah, I don't even know it's even better. I would have just went with the silver.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have the hands. I have long admitted it. I don't have the hands. Just because I could talk about the game doesn't mean I click real well.
I've played with you before. You got some skill. You definitely got the knowledge. You got some skill. But man, wasn't that crazy? I mean, how many third parties was that right there? Team after team funneling in, and it was really quite impressive. Love the way Turbo was able to adapt, but eventually they end up going down, and now we're on board with Super Silly Gaming. Down to 8 squads just remaining here. I think it was Team Diverge that was chasing them down, but they're playing as a duo. Really tough for you to really make anything out of that. Super Silly Gaming able to eliminate them, and now we're back down to 8 squads, the Elite 8. And this zone continues to pull more towards this Geyser side, which is exactly where Turbo started off to begin with.
Yep. And just for the folks in chat and everybody watching, I love Icy. Great player. Watched a lot of his games. Yeah. Hey, you know what? If I could take an opportunity to throw a little bit of shade, I will. But it's all good fun. Icy will wash me any day of the week and twice on Sundays in Apex. I'm just poking a little fun. That's all.
Well, he's going to need some Icy Hot after the burns that they so just handed him earlier. Mike and Nike looking for a treat of their own. Minute and 56 seconds, so plenty of time for them to try to work over toward the zone. Plenty of time for them to work up a strategy to fight this team. But it looks like there's a player taking a balloon here. So I wonder if Mike and I are going to choose to even hard fight it out here, or maybe they're looking to rotate using this balloon and still having a Valkyrie ult to work with. Mike and I have a lot of options here. The best one probably isn't going to get creeped with this charge rifle. That's probably not the best option.
Ooh. And it turns out it didn't pull all the way south. It's actually going to center on No Name here, just east of Fragment. So very interesting setup there. And that means that Mike and I could just try and maybe push in from the western edge. This is going to be really interesting because there is some okay cover on the western or on the eastern side there that you could kind of play around. But there's a lot of sightlines for anybody that is set up in that no-name POI. So this is going to get really, really bloody very quickly once this circle starts to close, as Razor trying to gatekeep this team in Geyser, which might just be Turbo.
And this is the tough thing when you're trying to play through Geyser. You got to realize that there's a few exits to get out of Geyser, but they all go through these narrow choke points, and they could be held out. But Razor might have made a little bit too much noise, and they just invited a whole nother squad to get involved. They're able to deal with that Horizon ult. The black hole doesn't do much. Maggie Ball goes in, but they're not going to play through it. Maybe fake them out a little bit, making the opposite team think they're stronger than they are. Razor thought they had a free holdout here toward the top Geyser choke, but eventually another team having a different plan wanted to get involved just a bit. They turned their back on another team, but Razor doing a great job of holding space here and able to deal with two teams at the same time.
Yeah, meanwhile, Mike and I trying to just close out this rotation from the tunnels here, holding outside of these doors. And Triple Blue Evos, not great for this point in the game. 8 squads remaining and round 3 closing. Mike and Ike still fairly squishy for this point in the game, but if they could get a fight here, they're likely going to get some armor swaps and some Evo upgrades, so it would bode well for them if they could win this straight 3v3. Also would get some KP under their belt because they have none to this point in this second game, but at least 14 points so far on the day. So a solid start here from Mike and Ike. I know one of those teams that you highlighted at the top of the day, and there you go. Hey, there's double purple Evos.
Really actually surprised to see Mike and Ike with such little KP so far towards the end game. They're such a great fighting team, and they're usually able to adapt towards the every end game, getting to the top 4 and top 3. So I wonder what they plan on doing from now on. Meanwhile, Razor, this must be annoying. You have a team that's poking and prodding, but they're not overly committing, and you have no idea when they're coming. You're watching multiple different angles, and now it looks like the team is deciding to get a little bit aggressive. Luckily, the shots of Washi is going to absolutely shred one, breaking the shield. Goes after another one. The 30 comes out hot. That's going to be a knock for Razor, and they have to get aggressive on that. I believe they've already wasted their Mad Maggie Wrecking Ball, so they're going to take space on foot right now. Razor have the opportunity. This is the opportunity they've been waiting for. This is the opportunity they created. That knock allows Razor to get so aggressive, and here comes the Maggie Ball. That should be coming out very soon. Beautifully played by Washi of Razor to open this fight up completely.
Those were some disgusting shots from Washi. I believe hitting 4 in a row on that player up on the gravity lift in midair. Washi just could not miss in that one. Gets the initial knock and sets Razor up to push that team off of their strong position. So well played, because Washi just opened up an opportunity for Razor to stay alive, because as you mentioned, they had kind of gotten backed into a corner up against that choke point from Geyser, and they needed to get out of there to rotate into the next zone. And then thanks to that Maggie ultimate, they're able to rotate here into this no-name POI, and they're set up, honestly, in a solid spot. Crypto ult will come through, but Razor doesn't care all that much, and they're in the next zone.
I will say, I love the discipline coming out of Razor right there. You know, even though they got the knock, you notice that they didn't overcommit to that gunfight. They were obviously aware of the position that they were in, that they had to get into that zone as fast as possible. Round 4 is closing in right now. Kraken's Lair Gaming, a team that finds itself into a tough position. You're in a narrow spot that you have to fight your way out of. They have to headbutt this if they want to make their way to the zone. I don't see any other way of getting around this. Kraken's Lair Gaming being held out. I want to say it was Mike and I, but it looks like now with Super Silly Gaming in the exact same position. Super Silly Gaming down 1 player, Box OT. Dras hitting the wingman shots. Whoa, my gosh. My wingman don't work like that. Despite being down 1 player, Super Silly Gaming defending this area to perfection. Team 5 get eliminated on the kill feed as well. Can Super Silly Gaming win this out?
This is just Super Silly playing so patiently. They know the clock and the zone is on their side, and Drast hits that last shot with the wingman. It's just so well played. They had the correct position, and they knew that zone was going to make Kraken Slayer push into them, so they just bided their time, hit their shots, win the fight. Impeccably played fight there from Super Silly.
That's right, no name. Take command here in the no-name POI. They got themselves a little bit of a home court advantage, and with that, they're going to use it to eliminate Team 10, bringing us down to 5 squads. Our kill leader is our Horizon player. Of course, it got to be a Horizon player that's the kill leader. You already know. 48
Nothing
seconds
new.
in that round 5 zone is closing in. There is another team that's really close by. It's actually Mike and Ike. So this is Mike and Ike was the team that I thought were holding out the team that was coming out of that geyser choke point, but they found themselves new real estate to play through. They found themselves within the outer edge of the zone. Can they fight their way in? No name currently in their sights, and you know Purple Dragon and Razor are not too far behind. Going to be really tough for Mike and Ike to make a play. There's not much real estate to play in. This circle is so small, and no matter what move they make, I think other teams are going to be able to catch an angle on them as they try to make it.
Yeah, not sure how Mike and Ike were able to safely rotate into the zone, but I'm pretty sure the team that they were trying to gatekeep in the tunnels was Kraken Slayer, and ultimately Kraken Slayer opted for the more western rotation, the western exit out of the tunnel, and ultimately we know how that worked out. So it seems like Mike and Ike bided their time. As soon as they had about 20 to 30 seconds without any sort of noise coming from the tunnel, they elected for the rotation here, and it's perfectly timed. They're able to get a building to themselves, and they're well set up for the late game here. 5 squads stacked inside of this POI, and things are going to get really fun as this zone closes because these teams are going to be stacked right on top of each other. Here comes No Name going for the roof.
Another team is Razor. You notice that Razor somehow found themselves safely within that building. They had to make a really tough rotation. They were sitting on the outside, 3-man hiding in a hole at one point. I guess they used that seer to gain the intel when it was the appropriate time to push up and ultimately steal this building away. But the fact that they're even alive right now and safe within this building is crazy because at one point they were, like I said, 3-stack hiding in a corner. Mike and Ike, as of right now, really being held down in this building, and that Maggie drill is gonna get so much value, and the attack comes in so quick. In 20 seconds they're gonna have to deal with it again. It may not get them a knock, but it will really not only annoy Mike and Ike and force them to maybe play a little bit outside of their comfort zone, but just drain their resources. How many batteries, how many cells do you have?
Well, and they don't have many because you'll remember the last time we checked in with them, I think MJ had a battery and 2 cells, and that was why you saw a purple Evo on the ground in front of him. It was likely one that had gotten broken and they didn't want to spend their resources, so they just went for the straight armor swap. So I think Mike and Ike is relatively tapped on heals, and they're in a very rough spot because the zone is right on their back in that building. Yeah, look at MJ here, just with some white heals, is going to get ticked by the zone here in just a moment. Mike and Ike is done. They're going to get just burned by the zone here or fried by any team looking in their direction here momentarily. Wizard Coin going to get out of the building, let them cook, running away as well, and Razor going to look to get everything that they can out of this.
Let them cook, getting fried, and Razor coming out for just a moment, poking just a bit. Washi taking a lot more damage, forced to play a battery, but no one's going to be pushed here out of this Razor squad. I also want to point out the fact that Washi was pinging the areas on where our Maggie players should place the drills. We saw the Seer tack or the Seer passive finding where there was multiple players and then just pinging exactly where to drop that drill, and Maggie was just letting it fly. That's why you saw so much value when Razor were fighting Mike and Ike with the drills, is because they were the Seer player was literally pinging exactly where to go. Very well played, as there's 4 squads remaining. Razor will have to travel just a bit towards that circle, but they still find themselves comfortable right now, at least as far as positioning with the circle, but there's a team right over them.
And below.
Who's going to leave first?
Right, you've got 3 teams stacked on each other here, and then you've got Super Silly across the way holding on the edge of the tunnel. So it's about to be chaos, Tony, as this zone closes in.
This is it. RE45 is out, right to the wingman he goes, but down goes one of the players from Razor. Make it to Washi now, could be left by himself trying to get through the knock shields, but this is not possible. This is one of the craziest end games that we've seen, from 4 down to 2. Super Silly Gaming down to just 1 player trying to fight the zone and multiple guns at the same time. It looks like it's a 2v1, No Name command the No Name POI.
So well played there, and honestly, it's a bit of a coin flip in that kind of setup. Honestly, in my opinion, Super Silly were actually in the best position to succeed there. Feels like they maybe didn't have enough nades or utility to apply pressure, because all 3 of those teams, Razor, No Name, and the other one, are all gonna drop on each other's heads basically at the same time, and we saw it happen. And that feels like a game that Super Silly should have won, right? If you have nades, if you have a Horizon ultimate, you throw them out, you absolutely just create chaos, and then you just clean up the mess. But unfortunately, Super Silly not able to quite take advantage of the chaos, and No Name coming out with a win. Well played.
Well, now what I'm trying to figure out here is, what was the name of that POI again?
I don't know. I don't think it has. I don't think it has a name.
What did you call it there?
No name.
No, not the team name. I mean the POI. Yeah. What was the POI name?
Who's on first, Tony?
No, but No Name absolutely. They were really patient throughout that. I thought Razor played that really well. I thought Mike and I did the best they can trying to make lemons out of lemonade, but Razor literally was just holding them out. It was such an interesting end game, because that was probably the most chaotic that we've seen so far in Esports Arena Open and Pro nights. And I believe the Mobile One moment is ready.
I think so. Let's check out that Mobile One high performance moment here. And it's going to be the end game. So you see Razor coming out, Jenny is down, and they immediately elect for the push here. And you see just health bars melting left, right, and center. And unfortunately, Borton getting ticked by the zone there with still half armor up is really killer there for Razor, because they might have been able to make something happen. You see Washi with the no scope with the 30-30 and Super Silly trying to peek out. But the problem is Boxa T went down early, and Gruick as well. So just down to one here. No Name somehow comes out alive from all of the chaos here down below this building. Yeah, this is a moment where I feel like I really wanted to see Super Silly take this, but it looks like the team up on the roof was able to hold long enough to knock them out or wound them significantly enough. And it actually is No Name. So No Name actually being able to hold on the roof just long enough to keep Super Silly at bay is what wins them the game.
Yeah, it was just so well played by everyone in the lobby right now. And the one thing we kind of pointed out last week, the T-Squared, I think you kind of alluded to it early, is that right now the pro teams are away at London. Mm-hmm. Right now you have a lot of other teams that are trying to make a name for themselves, which is great. You know, Halo boys, you know, Eli Elite and Soupy coming over from Halo and making their names known at Apex. But the double-edged sword of that is that if you're a partner squad, this is your opportunity to really eat. This is your opportunity to really step up. You know, I'm looking at the Razors, the Intels, the Mike and Nikes, and all of our Aegon as well. Like all of our partner squads that are well established and have been practicing against the pros week in and week out. Now is your opportunity to eat against some lesser known players. So I want to see a lot of other teams step up. As of right now, you letting the guests come in. You letting Turbo sit on top, only gaining 4 points from game number 1 into game number 2. Kraken's lair game, I think they only gained 3 points as well. Yeah. No Name, obviously not only the big winners, but also the big winners within the jump of that leaderboard. They make the biggest leap that I've seen. Mike and Ike, Aegon, and Razor, not much movement from game number 1 to game number 2.
Yeah, I'm very happy at the very least to see 5 partner teams inside of that top 10. They all really should be finishing there in the top 10, but they need to get things rolling a little bit more. Mike and Ike, Aegon, Razor, Tyson, all in an okay spot, but I really want to see them here in games 3 and 4 make some big strides and threaten the top, because the fact that Kraken Slayer and Turbo have down games there opens the door. No Name took the biggest advantage right now, but these other squads, partner teams, definitely need to take their turn sooner rather than later. I think we're going to head to a break right now, Tony. We'll grab a drink, get a breath, but when we come back, folks, our last game on World's Edge for the day. Don't go far.
Game number 2 is done. Now we're here going into game number 3, our final time here on World's Edge. So if you're a World's Edge team and you want to make sure you climb that leaderboard, now's your opportunity. If you're a Storm Point team but you want to give yourself a little bit of a head start, a little bit of a boost before switching over, now is your time. This is where the tournament really begins. You know, first 2 games, they're like a boxer, throwing a couple of jabs, filling each other out. Now this is the mid game. This is where the tournament really begins.
Yeah, and really it's a time for those teams that if you had a bit of a rough start, if you're maybe hovering in single digits or in the low teens in terms of your points so far through 2 games, it's do or die time right now, because you can certainly look at it and be like, oh, we've got 4 games left, we've got plenty of time, but really if you don't start now, if you don't break into that 20 to 25 points here, if not more, you're just going to be so far behind, because you're going to be hard-pressed to see Turbo and Kraken Slayer and No Name all get knocked down for multiple games. So they're going to continue to put points on the board and widen that gap. So those teams that I mentioned, Intel, Aegon, Mike and Ike, Razor, all those teams that have had okay starts to put some points on the board, they need to have a good game now to put themselves in a position to make moves when we head over to Storm Point. So you can't rest on your laurels here. It's do or die time.
Well, there's one team that you're forgetting about, and it's a super silly name. Super Silly Gaming. I recognize a few names for that. Box OT's been doing this thing for quite a bit, but don't forget about the Super Silly Gaming, who find himself in 4th place, 17 points, just 2 points behind Kraken's Lair Gaming. First 2 games have been great. We've seen some fundamental play. We've seen a little bit of craziness as well during the first 2 games, but again, now during the mid game, you really have to tighten up. You really have to make sure you're on your P's and Q's. There's no excuse for not being warmed up. Everybody should be used to the lobby. Everybody should be used to how the flow is going. I wonder if we're still going to see that contest over from Landslide. It seems like Intel continues to get the best of over towards that contest. Will that happen again? Will we see more body disrespect, or will we see a little bit of a change in the final game here on World's Edge?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it after the initial fight in game 2 that Intel had made a pretty clear statement. Don't show up in Landslide. This is our POI. I mean, I believe it's underachievers that have been punished there 2 games now in a row. Switch it up. Switch it up. I don't think you want to take that fight. It's been very definitively Intel's fight the last 2 times around. I feel like you're just kind of griefing yourself at this point if you don't try and switch things up and drop somewhere else. So, it's going to be difficult. You may be likely to run into another 50-50 again. It happens, but I don't think continuing to take the fight against Intel is going to work, because while they haven't necessarily been blowing up that kill feed after, Circle 1, they have started these games strong, so I wouldn't test them any further.
It's really funny because this is the same story that we talked about 2/3 of that Turbo roster, which then was going slept on just last week. Slept on continued to win their 50-50 gunfight. In fact, I think it was actually winning it on Landslide, in fact, if I remember correctly, but they never made it to the end game throughout the first 3 games on World's Edge. Then out of nowhere on Storm Point, they looked like a whole other team. Right off the rip, they found themselves in top 4, and in the next 2 games, they really start to dominate. So kind of the same path that Intel seem to be walking right now is a very similar one that Turbo walked just last weekend. Now, if you remember correctly, they did end up in 3rd place, and that was even amidst some of the professional players. So I wonder if that's what we're going to see, something like that with Intel. We're going to see them win another 50-50 gunfight, maybe step up a little bit toward that game number 3, but maybe them find their comfort zone on Storm Point, because hey, anything could happen. The strategy, the meta, and even the leaderboard changes so much right when we switch maps.
Yeah, it's definitely going to change things a lot. So get that last opportunity to put some points on the board here on World's Edge. We'll see how things shake out. Just waiting for, I think, this game to get started. And perfect, we're right into character select. Important thing to note, we were watching Team Diverge running as a 2-man for the first 2 games. Sleepy Panda is here now, so they've got the full squad running here in game 3. So we'll have to see if Team Diverge can get things going, because it feels like we didn't see as much as we would have expected from them in those first couple of games. And you're going to be hard-pressed to make a lot of things happen running as a 2-man. So hopefully Sleepy Panda finally making it in is that bit of a catalyst. They need to get things rolling.
Well, final time here on World's Edge. We're going to hop on board with our winners right off the rip to find out what's going to be their strategy and where are they going to be relative towards the zone. As we kind of pointed out before, Turbo, No Name, Kraken's Lair Gaming, and Super Silly. Those are your top 4 squads, but there's plenty of room for improvement out of multiple teams, and it looks like No Name are going to be contested right off the rip. Here on Countdown, the Spitfire has been grabbed. I do see some blue shields in the purple going to the hands of No Name, but they're taking plenty more damage. They don't have the low ground. They have the extra utility, but not having that low ground is going to be tough for them.
Yeah, and Chickus, she's in trouble trying to hit some syringes here, bide a little bit of time. Yosi doing the same here on the Mad Maggie. So No Name having to get a little bit of safety here in Countdown as they find just a bit of cover. And do they go for the push is the question mark. Chick is going to take some damage here as well. It's Halo Boys in the area. The knock's going to come through, but 2 down on Halo Boys as well. So a lot of blood drawn here at Countdown to start game 3.
Welcome to Apex, Halo Boys. This ain't going to get any easier for you. 2 players down right off the rip, one of them being Eli Elite, Oxygen's very own Josh Soupy, once again being left as a solo player. And the way he's moving right now, I'm not sure he's going to be in a position to grab a banner. In fact, he's being chased down by No Name, so Soupy might have to play the rest of this game as a rat, because I don't think No Name are going to allow him to freely rotate and grab those banners.
Yeah, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to do that here. But the good thing, No Name able to hit the reset. One team going out already. Looks like Sung and the Turbo squad getting things started. So well played from them. And No Name, looks like they're able to completely push that team out of Countdown. So they're actually going to be able to get essentially fully looted here inside of Countdown, clean up the rest that they can find in the area. So that's very good for No Name here on the start. It didn't look great to kick things off, but been able to settle things down and get in a good position. Meanwhile, we check in with Tyson here at Big Mod, and you're keeping an eye out. Seems like they are sensing some activity there over at Lava City. They may pick up some weapons here inside of Big Mod and go for the rotation.
Yeah, Tyson, another team that I really want to see have a big game here because we know how comfortable they are on Storm Point. Same for Razor sitting in 7th place. 14 points, just 3 points behind our number 4 squad. So Razor do find himself within striking distance of the top 3. On the top-hand side, you see Halo Boy just 78 meters away. And I remember correctly, Halo Boy's left as a solo player. So Halo Boy's very close to Razor. Kraken's Lair not too far behind. You see the Seer Q come in. That's going to be some information here. Razor might be getting himself into a fight.
Yep, and you know, Razor, we've seen duking it out with Kraken's Lair, I should say. Here in Skyhook, the first couple of games, Kraken's Lair opted to back away from the fight last time. They won the fight in game 1, and now it's Razor playing aggressively this time around, and Borton gonna get that Evo cracked here to start off, throwing the black hole up onto the roof. Razor going to back away for the moment, see what kind of angles they can get on these players up on the high ground.
Something tell me that man played quarterback in high school. Let me tell you, that was a big toss. Right up from the low ground to the roof. Razor looking to find a new angle. The opposition has plenty of height advantage, and I love the building that they're holding out. But with round 1 zone closing in and both teams comfortable within the circle, there's plenty of time for anything to happen, including Washi getting cracked. I believe that was the charge rifle that came in with the quickness. So Razor, they find themselves in a weird position, but a position that they don't have to headbutt. They don't have to commit to this gunfight. In fact, they even feel comfortable enough to back down and craft. So as of right now, Razor want to take space, maybe find themselves a bit of a high ground position to defend. Meanwhile, Tyson, they might want to find their way out of Geyser. Round 1 zones coming in. They're running out of resources. A team that looks like might want to chase them down.
Yeah, it looks like they're ready to just rotate here out of Geyser. Also important to note, a couple teams getting on the board early. Team Diverge there with Sleepy Panda getting going with an early kill. Another team that got rolling is Super Silly, able to take out Force on Aegon by AOC. So Super Silly keeping the momentum rolling from their good performance in game number 2 here. And now we'll see if Turbo can return to the form we saw from them in game 1. You'll remember They didn't really get that many points. I believe it was just 4 in Game 2, already with 3 KP to their name at the start here of Game 3. So this is the kind of Turbo that we expected to see here, possibly returning to form very quickly.
Turbo seemingly wanting to speed run through the lobby as you see them chasing away that team. Get off my lawn, says Turbo, forcing the Valkyrie ult to come out quickly. They're going to have to make their way into the zone. The same for Aegon. 2 teams that are very comfortable fighting towards the edge. 2 purples and a white shield out of Aegon. I wouldn't be surprised if Force wants to upgrade his white shield into the blue. Actually, no time for that. There's a team that's so close. I believe it's Super Silly Gaming within 100 meters of them. So while they're crafting up, Kick is getting the information that they might have to fight in the zone.
Yeah, Super Silly just trying to hold the high ground here. Sony is going to close, so looks like they'll just loot up a little bit and continue the rotation, though. Boxa T seemingly feeling comfortable to continue to try and gatekeep here by tree, maybe looking to hit some shots before they retreat to the north. They aren't going to find much, though, so Super Silly just going to head further north, get into this next zone, and just play with the time that they have already with some early KP. So, as I mentioned, that was the fight against Aegon that Boxa T was able to get the kill onto Force, which is huge, especially if Aegon wasn't able to get over to get that banner. That is a huge blow to Aegon by AOC, because Force is such a big part of their success week in and week out, and that is going to hurt them here in Game 3.
Mike and Ike might find himself into a fight of their own. If you look at the top left-hand corner of your screen, you see that Timmons' raid is within 75 meters, 100 meters, usually within 100 meters. That's picking and poking distance, and just enough for you to put in enough damage for you to try to push up through. I'm not gonna lie, I love that overlay. Now, it tells you what team is nearby. It tells you how close they are. You know, you can even sense a third party. Like right now, we know that Turbo within third party distance of this fight, 155 meters. So as Timmons and Mike and I start to make some noise, we know that Turbo might be able to find himself closely within that zone. And we're now seeing the zone really push far away from Countdown. Even pushing away from Lava Fisher over towards the backhand side. There's not much real estate here towards this endgame, this inner green circle that you're seeing right now. There's only a few playable spots. I think teams gonna have to try to rotate very early if they want to pull off a win. There's not much to play through. In fact, you see that ping? That's the only building there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of covered real estate in that zone. I also have to note, we were speculating. I was speculating about whether they were able to get Force's banner. They actually were. If you were watching on the map at the bottom right hand of your screen, Aegon was set up outside of the zone. They had actually gotten the res onto Force so Aegon actually firing on all cylinders. They have a bit of a rotation to go, and they're going to have to loot up and get Force back into fighting shape, but they've got a big opportunity, and that's a Revenant ultimate if my eyes are correct.
I did notice during the pick screen, I thought it was a glitch, but I believe Johnny's team happened to pick Octane and Revenant. I thought it was a glitch. I thought maybe my eyes were deceiving me a little bit,
Toxic,
but
Tony.
You know what? You got to do what you got to do. You find yourself towards the right-hand side of the leaderboard, you're going to have to, something got to change, and that includes your composition. That includes apparently bringing a Revenant into the lobby here. Super Silly Gaming find us up within 21 meters of Glow Gang. The Seer ult is going down. That means both the teams got a hard fight. Having the height advantage. Does our Seer player R301 shots? You see the knock already coming in, and with that, they want to get aggressive with that, putting the shotty to the body. The Peacekeeper does hit for 71, and Super Silly Gaming have all the advantage here. Ooh. The second player goes down. It looks like one does get returned here by Super Silly Gaming, but it's only a matter of time before they find that final player and bring him back up, I'm sure. Look, oh my gosh, wow. Oh no, and the Turbo's coming in. No, they went for the res in open field, and now Turbo's coming. This is bad.
Yeah, all things are going on, though. Important to note, Super Silly were able to get the finish on that other squad. And it looks like Turbo having to back away over towards landside. So I think Super Silly is actually completely fine. They were able to finish off that fight. They're going to stay alive for the time being. Meanwhile, Razor in a bit of a slobber knocker elsewhere on the map. ST doing work, Intel fighting as well, and Turbo just trying to buy a little bit of space for the time being. Let's check in with Intel.
Intel find himself within the zone, but also trying to find himself within a fight. The Watson fences are totally up on that building, but Intel are chasing them away. Team 20 getting eliminated. 4 does as well as Intel finish their gunfight, but be careful. Looks like there's some more shots being fired here. No name within 76 meters, so they want to get involved. Can they get there in time, or have Intel had enough time to regain? Looks like they have.
We were saying Intel needs to have a good game here. They're in that group with Aegon that are within reach, but need to make moves now. Cannot wait for games 4, 5, and 6 to close the gap at the top of the leaderboard. And Intel with 3 KP to start off this game, that is exactly what you're looking for. And they've gotten the 50-50s. We know it, we've seen it, but maybe finally getting something rolling big time in this game. Let's look at Aegon here. Kikix taking some shot, is going to hit Flesh on one player, and Force going to get the knock there. And guess who? It's Super Silly Gaming.
Beautiful shots on the flat line, but they come right back at him. Force ends up going down, but the smoke's coming early for that res. Aegon should be able to get back to fully loaded very soon here. Super Silly Gaming, very close. Actually, Horizon trying to fly in at him. Kick is not having any part of that. Out with the R99. Sends him back to the lobby. We'll see you here soon, Team 12. But we're down to 12 squads, and Aegon are going to be one of them. A minute and 20 seconds on the clock for them to find space to get into the zone. Aegon are on the map.
Good fight there by Aegon, by AOC. Orioles able to get the knock. Quick response there. Drops down the smoke. Goes for the res. Able to get the very solid reset there. And Kikix just holding it down. They're able to get good shots on the horizon, on the push, dancing around the cover of that truck. And it's just a well and cleanly played fight here by Aegon, by AOC. And if you check the top of your screen, Turbo not far away, but plenty of room here for Aegon to loot up, reset, and get ready to go for this push to the north.
I think it's such a fundamental play that you saw Aegon do within that fight. You know, the moment they have a player go down, there's no need to panic. At that point, you saw the smokes coming early. You saw them play the res. And you saw them also have faith in Kikis to be able to hold down the fort, be able to take that 1v1 gunfight, either win it or at least delay long enough for that res to come in and for them to turn it into a 2v1. That's just good fundamental Apex right there. Because if they wait too long and try to force that kill, then play for the res, now that third party that comes in or potentially comes in has such an advantage on you. It's just well played, loved it by them, and now they love to see another engagement. Same for Tyson, who are controlling the edge of the circle right now. Charge rifle in hands, like we talked about. Tyson are definitely one of those teams that find themselves very comfortable on storm points, so they could put themselves within striking distance of the top 4. That could be great for them. 48 right to the dome. You see why everyone hates a charge rifle player.
Yeah. And I'll readily admit, I pick them up. I'm definitely on my scout game lately. Okay. But the charge rifle, if I can't find a scout, I'll take a charge rifle. I'll take the free evo farming. I mean, I don't care. Give me the free rank ups, man. I don't care what you say. Game. Yeah, it's free, okay. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm talented because I can, hold a gun in a straight line, but I'm going to take the dubs where I can get them.
Well, as of right now, Mike and Ike in danger of taking an L. You'll already lose. Let me cook, and MJ's going to follow. Rip. So Wizardcoin, the final player alive, not for long. Avalanche coming in. When it rolls downhill, it rolls fast, and it's hard to stop. Avalanche successfully able to take out Mike and Ike. Looks like more teams are getting dropped on the kill feed as well. Force ends up going down of Aegon. They're playing for the res quickly. Can they get back to fully loaded? Because within just moments, we're down to 7 squads, and Intel are trying to get involved as well.
Yeah, I love Force there with the fancy feet. Actually got so much value out of his life. Had that player down to essentially one tap before going down. So really, really good play there from Force. Meanwhile, we check in with Intel here. As you mentioned, 5 KP looking for more, trying to get that player who's backed up against this zone. And now they've got the information of a couple of other players rotating into the area. One going to go up on the grab lift. They'll get knock on one. Meanwhile, Jet just trying to keep eyes on these different players because it's low health bars here on Flintar, but they don't much care. Icy stepping in, and those are the shots I was looking for last game, my friend. Icy not missing with that R301, and Intel in a wonderful position.
And not only were they able to defend that building with perfection, but they take very minimal damage while doing so. No Name seemingly looking for an opportunity to get the third-party situation off, but they don't have one. Intel were so quick with it. So now No Name sitting toward the edge of zone with just 16 seconds of round 4 zone coming in. It's not a bad position for them, but it could have been even better if Intel just took more damage, or at least were able to get one player knocked. Well played by Intel. Can No Name find himself in? We're down to 6 squads at the moment, 16 players on the map, and No Name is now holding out this edge of zone.
Yeah, Chick is trying to play up on that rock and maybe gatekeep some of these players. They do have control of that one building in the zone that we were talking about. And this is similar to last game, right, Tony? We checked in. There was the one spot in the zone, and No Name was the first team there, and ultimately their setup bought them a victory. So much the same plan this time around, establishing themselves in the best cover inside of the late game zone, and they'll have a great opportunity to make things happen as this game gets closer to finishing off. Intel still playing around this building on the southern edge of the zone. Somebody taking pot shots at them. They're going to be able to recharge thanks to this generator, and Intel in a wonderful position. 8 KP, their best game of the day so far. They're in a wonderful spot to make things happen here with 5 squads remaining.
The only problem I see for Intel right now is that they did a great job of holding out this building before, but there's a different caliber of team that's on their tail right now. It's Turbo. And Turbo do a phenomenal job of surrounding you and cutting off your exits and really collapsing well and being coordinated with it. I wonder if Intel gonna be able to survive this one. They have the utility in order to do so. You have the Watson generator. You have 2 players with red shields, even a player with gold, which is so valuable in the Seer meta, and now they're ready to fight. The Volt shots come in. That's going to do a decent amount of damage, but everyone losing their shields. In fact, they lose their Loba player. Jet hits the ground. Flinzar trying to do something over towards the south side. Icy comes in quick, and that team is going to be eliminated. Well played by Intel, holding down this building once again to perfection. That's 2 teams in a row that have challenged Intel, and 2 teams in a row that are being sent to the lobby.
That was so well played from Intel. First of all, the luck that Icy ends up being the one that stays alive with that gold knock means that they get the buffed res. The other part was Intel seemingly caught Turbo off guard. They go for the W key hard push approach, and it seems like Sung and the rest of the squad got caught on their heels because all of a sudden all 3 of Intel were right in their face to get the quick knock, and despite them being able to trade back 2 knocks, Icy, with ice in his veins, able to clean up the fight and keep Intel alive. Has Kraber in hand, trying to hit shots here onto Den Pride. He is going to get the knock with the 140. It just says, cool, you guys finish that off. I'm going to hit a bat real quick.
That's a game changer right there. Once again, Intel asserting their dominance, showing that just because you're in the building doesn't mean that you are a trapped rat. In fact, now they're on the aggression. After the beautiful Kraber shot, we're down to 3 squads. You're already seeing Icy swinging hard right with that R301. Hasn't yet played the medkit. Finally gonna play that medkit right now. Want to be fully loaded as they see the shots go in, as they see the knocks come in. I think it's Owen going to be awarded that one. This is the opportunity for Intel to try to push up and take height, and that's exactly what they do. It looks like they find themselves to kill onto Owen, so as of right now, they should be the only 3-man in the lobby right now. Beautifully played to go down to just 2 squads. It should be at least a 3v2, maybe even a 3v1. Chick is doing the best she can, but my gosh, the Kraber Quickscope comes in and Intel taking the last game on World's Edge.
Man, we challenged them, Tony, at the start of this game. We said the opportunity was there, and they couldn't rest on their laurels. Their comeback needed to start in Game 3, and Intel responded, and they passed this test with flying colors. A wonderful game from them. And coming into that last zone, you heard it, the dinner bell was ringing. It was third party o'clock, and Intel took care of business to grab the win. What a finish for them.
They really did. I mean, even if we rewind it a little bit, I forgot the team that they were going up against, but when they were defending that building, team tried to collapse on them, wiped them out. We're taking so little damage, and even you have Turbo that are collapsing on you, which, by the way, Turbo, a phenomenal fighting team. We saw them put up, 31 points in game number 1, so clearly they're comfortable fighting, and you saw Intel take a totally different strategy to that. Instead of sitting like ducks, they lured Turbo in, and then full sent them once they found that opportunity, and then from there was only a matter of time for they come out with that win. My gosh, Intel played that game so well. If you're trying to get your game up, if you're trying to get your zone knowledge and find out how to play aggressive, defensive, watch that game. Put it on repeat. That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. And let's take a look at a little bit more beauty with our Mobile One high performance moment here for our last game on World's Edge. And to nobody's surprise, it's going to be Intel's finish here. Icy taking that grab lift, beaming Owen there, and then immediately pushing in with this R301, hits the reload, and then just shreds these final 2 players, and then turns around and says, you know what? I can't quite hit Chickus right here. Let's whip out the Kraber, hit the little scope, little flick in the finish, and Intel takes the W. Just a very clean finish from Intel in this one.
And it was also just like the right opportunity too, because we saw right before this battle that we saw right over the Horizon Cube into the roof, is that Owen was the player that got the knock on the secondary team. So once they knocked Owen, at that point they knew, okay, well, we saw that Owen got the kill on the first one. We just killed Owen. They're the only 3 men in the lobby at that point. At that point, that's it. They just had to play their numbers, and they did so masterfully. It was just well played. It really was just a great game by Intel, and that only tells them they're going to climb up towards the leaderboard. And I hope their Storm Point game is as good towards that ending on World's Edge, because that's where we're going to. And what are you seeing there, Yasa? What are you seeing?
So what I see is that Intel and Aegon did exactly what we asked of them. Aegon even jumping into the top 4, still with a bit of a gap to go, right? That's 20 points between themselves and Turbo, but Intel with that huge win, tie up No Name there in second place, and they're within arm's reach of Turbo, just 8 points separating themselves from first place. So they did exactly what we asked of them, Tony. Do not wait until games 4, 5, and 6. You need to get that solid performance under your belt on World's Edge to get that momentum going and get you in a spot to make moves in the second half of today. Intel did exactly that.
It's crazy to me that we've seen all of this action so far, and then I come to realize that only half the tournament is done.
Yes, sir.
We still have 3 games ahead of us going into this tournament. We're moving on to Store Point. We can see teams like Aegon, Super Silly Gaming, and Kraken's Lair who find themselves, double digits behind the top 3. We can see them make crazy moves. That goes for almost anybody in the lobby right now. I feel like we've done a whole tournament so far, and we still have 3 more games. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's great. And those teams that you mentioned, the opportunity's still there, right? 1 game can change the complexion of their tournament. It's just a much more difficult task the later in the tournament you get. So we'll keep an eye on them as we head into Game 4. We're headed to Storm Point next, folks. Tony and I will be back in a few with more Series Z.
3 games down. Now it's time for game number 4. Now it's time to play on Storm Point. I'm so excited with this tournament, how it's been so far. And baby, it's time for yet another one. I feel like in every game, there's winners and losers. And, you know, with some winners, definitely Turbo with the plus 11. No Name with the plus 13. Intel with the plus 28. But some teams that we wanted to step it up a little bit before switching over to Storm Point didn't quite hit the mark. We're looking at Razor and Tyson only getting plus 2 in that last lobby. Hopefully they can switch things up coming here to Storm Point.
Yeah, and I mean, the same point still applies. It's just that much more important, right? Don't wait till game 5 or 6. You got to start right now. You've got to close that gap, because the longer you wait, the further away Turbo, No Name, and Intel are going to pull. And it's going to make your job that much more difficult. You need to take advantage of every single game. And, you know, if they're lucky, the switch to Storm Point, you know, whatever they do in terms of composition or the way they play the game or their POI benefits them, and they can really get things going here, because you're going to start running short on time. There's 3 games to go, but they will disappear very quickly. I also want to give a special shout out to Icy on Team Intel. Threw some shade his way during game number 2, and Mans responded, came out absolutely fried in game 3. I added him in the Discord really quick, and he said, quote, "Thank you for roasting me last game. Gave me that boost." So hats off to Icy. He and the whole Intel squad showed up big time there in game 3, and they're in a great position now. They can make some moves here in the back half of this event.
I believe I remember hearing something of that Michael Jordan would often use things that were said by other players or the media and use it as motivation going in game after game. And even when there wasn't anything said about him, he would just make stuff up. He would just make stuff up that other players or media have said and use that as motivation. So Icy coming out with a Jordan-like performance in that last game, because Intel absolutely killed it. Yeah. And now we're going to try to find out if they can bring that same energy on Paradise Island, but ain't no vacations here, ain't no drinks with no umbrellas here. It's gonna be nothing but peacekeeper shots, nothing but R301 shots. Storm Point, 3 games.
I see, and I took that personally. I'm a big fan of it. The Last Dance is so good. There's so much good content and so much meme material in that documentary. It is incredible. Shout out to the GOAT, MJ. But shout out to these teams dropping onto Storm Point here, Tony, for game number 4. Intel trying to keep things rolling from a big W there in game 3. Turbo trying to find that spark that they had in game 1. They've been okay the last 2 games, but I would say going from 31 points in game 1 to 15 points in games 2 and 3 combined, not quite the slowdown that they are looking for. So we'll see if they can get things rolling here on Storm Point as we check in, of course, with Intel to start.
One thing I'm going to find interesting is we know that the partner squads already know where each other are landing on both of these maps, but these new squads coming in, we have no idea where they'll be landing. In Intel already getting 50-50 off the drop once again. They have to deal with it throughout 3 games on World's Edge, but they're defending it well. Intel coming in with the beautiful wingman shots, and now they look like they're trying to get aggressive here onto the eastern side of the map. Jed and Icy already the forward players, and Flinzar started to catch up. Intel, they want to fight.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were critical of Intel's play in the first 2 games. The one thing that we can't criticize is their starts. Their 50-50s have been impeccable today, and they're looking to do it once again. Flinzar hitting that high ground with the grab lift, shredding these players. That's going to be 2 quick knocks. It's now the 2v1 as they were able to get Icy down, but that's going to be the finish, the disrespect, and Intel continues to prove you cannot 50-50 this team.
We see the zone starting to pull more towards the wall and Cascade Falls, over toward that north-hand side of the map. There's going to be plenty of teams that have to take long rotation, not even just a long rotation, but uphill rotations. I'm looking at like Fish Farms, Shipfall, Cenote Cave. Like, you not only have to make a long rotation to get it toward the zone, but if they have to try to fight from the low ground, that could be really, really tough for any one of these squads that are coming in. And that includes Halo Boys, who I believe are down to just their final player once again.
We also have to keep an eye on Intel right now because Aegon by AOC has slowly rotated south to possibly try and pressure Intel. Intel now has had plenty of time to reset for the fight, but we may see a bit of blood between those two partnered squads here very, very soon. Also, you can see Diverge rotating west to east there from Down Beast. They should have, it looks like, complete control of Checkpoint here, so that might be a very good start from a loot perspective there for Team Diverge. Meanwhile, Aegon by AOC taking the slow and steady approach, getting in close with Team Intel, who's just 65 meters away.
Aegon and Intel pretty close on the leaderboard right now, at Aegon desperately needing these points. Intel going to be a very tough out for them, as we see a player take to the skies through the Horizon Q. And my gosh, the Volt connecting from the mid-range. Aurealis wants to play through that. Our Bangalore player is already taking space over toward the eastern side. They're starting to surround the enemy team, it looks like, and already going to open up with that Rolling Thunder. Love the play by Aegon. If that team is trying to get away, they might get hit by a few shots. And the flat line connecting, but it looks like Intel might be able to get out of the situation without getting a single knock.
Yeah, Orioles opening up really strong with that Volt. Hitting a few more shots may have been able to actually get that initial knock, and it completely changes the complexion of this fight. But fortunately for Intel, that player just able to escape from danger. And now Aegon not going to push any further. They don't like that further southern rotation for the time being. They're just going to set up, hit some crafting mats, and get a bit of a reset. Meanwhile, Kraken's Lair Gaming down here by Cenote Cave, and they're out for blood as Justin did it. Gonna go down first. Ferocity quickly follows, and Kraken Slayer on the hunt for the final member of this three-man.
They took something personally. My gosh, Kraken's Lair just coming in with the quickness, the three-man push, and the Seer is able to spot out exactly where that player is over toward the high ground. The pings are coming in. They're going to take to the skies here. Kraken's Lair Gaming, they are not going to let up on the pressure. Meanwhile, on the kill feed, you see another team get eliminated. I believe that's TSG, courtesy of Wizard Coin and the Mike and Knight crew. Kraken's Lair Gaming still continue to get aggressive here. Even the long range shot. My gosh, this flatline with the 3x, absolutely griefing this player's trying to do everything they can to try to stay alive, and Kraken's Lair Gaming will not let him get that free rotation, will not let him stay alive for free.
Yeah, few of these squads are just trying to find some bit of breathing room here. Avalanche PK going to get up into the southern side of Mill. They had an early fight. They take that early win. This is a team with a lot of ground to make up, only 11 points to their name there. And now, at the very least, they've hit that double-digit mark thanks to the start to this game, but they really need to show up strong. Meanwhile, Intel already with 3 KP to kick things off, and it's all in the hands there of Jet from that quick early fight. And Intel, the starts have all been good. And when they finish very strong, so Intel looking to try and, again, carry that momentum from their Game 3 performance, and this is exactly how you want to start that off.
I find it very interesting that we have a Caustic in the lobby here on Stormpoint. I would imagine usually getting more value out of a Watson, where you're trying to create cover and create space in open area. I think Watson's a little bit better than that, where Caustic really gains value from being indoors, but sometimes you might play in an open field where there is no indoors whatsoever. So I find that very interesting. I wonder how that's going to work out for them. Meanwhile, Intel just cruising around, taking a little bit of a stroll. Paradise Island over here. It's beautiful, might I say. Love the Storm Point aesthetic as they're just cruising around looking for their next victims.
Yeah, I'm just pissed now because I'd really love a cocktail with a little umbrella in it now, Tony. You got me kind of fiending. It sounds like a great way to enjoy a cool beverage here. while enjoying some wonderful Apex Legends. But, you know, we'll deal with that later as we check in here with Tyson Stankini. Gonna get that armor broken initially. The rockets from the Valkyrie on the other side not going to land onto Stankini there. And Tyson at least set up in this next zone for the time being. The question is, how aggressively do they want to push for this fight? Can they get the opening that they need to finish off? They're going to be able to finish up BJ Yee. What else can they get?
Tyson having purple dragons in front of them, not to be confused with Imagine Dragons, but this battle can get radioactive real quick.
Imagine what?
Imagine Dragon, come on now.
Shout out to production in my ear. No, I won't do it. I won't do it. I know better.
And now we're switching gears over towards Tyson as well. So Tyson's here. They're the ones surrounding Purple Dragon at the moment. Mike and Ike about almost 200 meters away. So if Tyson do want to hard take this fight, they absolutely can. And with that longbow shot right to the dome, that's exactly what they were looking for. Takes height immediately. Not able to connect here. It's going to try to take the low ground, but it's Watson fenced up, so he's going to climb up real quick. Tyson, they want to get into the fight. Do they expect the Prowlers out? Shots are in. Kodagame down to one shot, forced to back down. Where's the rest of Tyson? There they are, chasing him out.
Yeah, thankfully able to finish that off. Kodagame, those shots, not great initially, just missing left and right on that initial push, but they were able to get it done. So, you know, Tyson not going to get the hard flame here, but Kodagame not getting it done with the early shots, but able to get up into range with that Prowler, then really got to work in that fight. So well done on that front. Meanwhile, Intel going to farm up these Evos for the time being, and it looks like Diverge are right on top of them. They're waiting up high here, and unfortunately, they don't have the legend that is the best at trolling these fights. If you set a Wraith portal up right above that gravity lift when teams look to leave, you could just deliver players right into your lap. But we'll see if Diverge can get something done here after they finish things off.
This could get interesting.
Meanwhile, No Name find himself pretty close to Razor at the moment here. Just trying to gain some intel though. 12 squads remaining, just 36 players on the actual map itself. Razor and No Name might possibly run into each other, but looks like the rotation's going away over toward the west-hand side of the map here for Razor to try to make their way into the zone. Just 23 seconds before round 2 zone starts to close in, so I can imagine them wanting to gain real estate very quickly here as we take a look at Team Diverge once again. Wow. That battle started real quick. Bangalore goes down here, so Intel so far winning this battle as they already got themselves a knot, but they better be careful. All the way down Shields as Flinzar who ends up going down, and so is Icy. Luckily the flatline shots are coming in. G's Bird hits the ground here. It's only a matter of time before Intel should be able to close this out. I believe it's a 2v1.
Yeah, this should be an easy Intel fight, and that's going to be it. Looks like they get a little bit of assistance. Lemmy Cookman gets the kill onto Sleepy Panda, and now Intel able to get the reset. The gold knock going to do them a lot of favors here. It looks like there's a squad coming in for the third party. The question is does Intel go for the gravity lift redeploy out of here, or do they just take the fight, loot up, and try and fight their way out? They have a couple of options here.
When they're sitting with triple purple and fresh off of a beautiful fight, Intel must be feeling confident. Mind you, fresh off of a win in the last game, they're just gaining momentum. Meanwhile, Razor looking for any late rotators here. Did they spot one is the question. Hawking the zone, there we go. They found what might be their next victim. No shots connecting here for Washi with the flatline just yet, but now they are with the zone on their backs. The team that's trying to push up. Razor just griefing them just a bit, but don't look like they're ready to hard push it just yet. So that team might be able to make it into that building, and Razor might be looking for a new angle towards the center circle.
Yeah, it took Washi a second there, but got really dialed in with that second clip. A lot of good damage with that flatline. That's just is wonderful at medium range when you can dial in that aim. And looks like those players may have to rotate a little bit west there, go for a bit of an adjustment. We checked in with Intel. They were getting some shots on the redeploy, and we check in there now with Super Silly Gaming, who's in big trouble. Looks like they maybe have been found by Kraken's lair, and they're looking for some KP that they've been missing for a little while.
Drast does end up going down courtesy of KLG. Looks like there's still some other players of that squad just left, but nobody in sight, so that I'm guessing the other team might have hightailed it out of here. Meanwhile, Kraken's there find himself having to rotate pretty longly towards the tail. 1:30 on the clock. Plenty of time here. I wonder if eventually they're going to choose to Valkyrie ult in there or just hoof it a little bit. Sometimes a nice hike, a nice breeze, you know, get some nice fresh air. Maybe that's exactly what Kraken's Lair Gaming needs.
Yeah, and hey, look, this is a great start to Game 4. They've already got 5 KP with 11 squads remaining. Pretty well looted up, right? You got the triple blue or purple Evos across the board. Plenty of utility available to them. So Kraken's Lair in a great position right now, and they're looking to rotate up towards, it appears, the southern edge of Command Center. It looks like this is just where we were watching a couple of other teams duking it out. So they may not be alone in this area. They've got to be careful.
Looks like they're closing the distance on both Avalanche PK and Super Silly Gaming right now, when Razor aren't too far behind. So as that circle gets smaller and smaller, if you notice that the squads don't start to drop, eventually they will. There'll be no place to hide here. Kraken's Lair Gaming have found themselves in towards the edge of zone, but Avalanche PK, they have a sight on. This is the Caustic team, the team that we were talking about before. I wonder how this is going to work out for them. I mean, they're on open space right now, got a couple Caustic barrels out, and we know how strong that Nox gas grenade can be. So Avalanche PK definitely feel comfortable zoning this team out. G7 Scout in hands. Can Avalanche survive this fight?
Yeah, and quick correction there. It's actually south of the wall right here, not Command Center. Command Center very much going to be out of this next zone as this is pulled further to the north here. So we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, we're checking in with Razor. They've found a squad here who's thrown down this Seer ultimate. It's a no-name and Timmons raid in the area, and Borton and co. maybe want to get into the fun.
The Seer ult may be the ultimate utility when getting into a fight, but it's also an ultimate beacon letting everybody know that there's a fight going on here. And as of right now, it's Razor going up against No Name. I believe I already see a knock here. It's Gyozi, the first one to go down, so now forcing a 3v2 situation. Born already able to find the first kill. They're going to finish that player off, and nobody else left to be found, at least not close by. No Name looking like they might be rotating out of the situation, and Razor just gonna man this building. They're already, I look at where it is in relation to the zone. They're in the edge of circle. They have height advantage. They have the high ground. I love where Razor at the moment.
That circle is going to pull away from them, though, just outside of the wall. So Razor not going to get blessed by the zone pull here. They'll be able to loot up a little bit, and they could take their time and go for a bit of a wide rotation here. They have a few options to work with, so we'll see what the choice is. Looks like they want to go for that wide rotation, take their time, find a bit of a better angle to get into the zone. They can also maybe pick up a little bit more loot. They're going to spot one of these teams taking that Valkyrie ultimate into the zone for the time being. There, throw out some pot shots, not going to really land anything. But now, Razor just opting in. They're going to land a scan on 2 players at the bottom of this rope. And does Razor hit the go button?
And I love that play by No Name. They were trying to be real sneaky with it, but the problem is that you can't hide from Seer. Razor spot that out quick, and they're really lucky they didn't get ripped right there. Most of their shields gone, but they're trying to run away. Luckily, the red shields are out. Razor can't quite find the angle that they're looking for. There's multiple teams that are close by, including P&J, that are probably trying to get involved. Even Avalanche aren't too far away, but eventually Razor hunt him down. It's another player that gets knocked.
Washi's just out here on a solo mission, Tony. 1v2, able to get the knock and back away, and now Razor is coming in for reinforcements. Washi gets all that he can out of it, is even going to finish off Anxiety, and now that everybody else is here, they can really learn to make the decision to turn up the pressure, I should say. Very low on the Valkyrie.
Razor on the hunt. This was a solo mission, but now It's a full mission here to eliminate everybody in the lobby. Team 6 go down. Team 9 gonna follow just like that. We are down to 7 squads at the moment, and Razor have really turned it up and looking good. Another team that's been looking good for a while now is Intel. They've climbed the leaderboards, are tied for second place, and have a decent amount of KP to their name, and have a decent position going into this end game as round 4 zone is closing in. The pings are coming out here. Intel, they know exactly what the enemy team is, but because of that Bloodhound scan, so did the opposition. Do they know, though, that Horizon's ultimate is ready? So this can be a great advantage here for Intel.
Also important to note, 3 of these last 7 teams are our top 3 squads. Turbo, No Name, Intel, all still alive, and Intel out for blood. They want to increase that kill score. Blinzar with a ton of damage initially. Double knocks there. Goodbye, Tyson. Intel in a bloodbath.
We saw the Seer Q coming in. Does that mean that Turbo trying to push up to it? 37 meters. Looks like Turbo's not going to hard commit to that. Looks like they wanted to, but didn't exactly find the timing that they were looking for. So minute 6 seconds for Intel to regain, find themselves a new position, and try to get themselves into the zone. No Valkyrie to work with, so they will have to hoof it, but they do have that Bangalore to try to use that smoke and create cover seemingly out of nowhere. Turbo have found himself a new victim. Beautiful shots coming out of the vault, out of Sung. As I've said last week, he lets that thing sang, and that's exactly what you see. The Horizon player tries to get over the wall. Zerbo almost chasing him, but right into the hands of another player. Luckily, they're able to pull out of that situation as we're down to 6 squads. One false move can cost you this game, maybe the tournament.
Meanwhile, Razor in here just biding their time. They were able to sneak into a bit of safety, and they're in this next zone. So they're just going to hold on to this high ground, let the game come to them. They'll see what kind of shots they can pick up as these rotations come through, and maybe see if they can go for some sort of a third party without leaving their position, just using the range that they have. So there's a big opportunity here for Razor, and they're in a wonderful position for this end game. The problem is, a lot of teams are going to start collapsing on them very quickly. We'll have to see what they can do with that position they've set up. And look at Intel. Triple red Evos, 8 KP so far. Regardless of how this game ends, Intel keeping things rolling from game 3.
And Razor really need to take advantage of that position because they do find themselves in 9th place, only 16 points. So they definitely want a big game here. I would even dare say a top 2 finish. Meanwhile, Intel trying to ride that momentum that they got in game number 3 here. Triple red shields, Peacekeeper, and flatline for Icy. He said before he got roasted in the past, but he had to turn it up. Can he turn up here in the final 6 squads? It looks like the Bangalore smoke is already out. They're able to deal with the Horizon old black hole, but still find themselves toward the edge of the zone. Still find the opposition chasing them. Luckily, they have a Horizon black hole of their own. Grenades are in. Sadly, Team 2 are not. They're being sent to the Lobby 5 squad.
Yep, that was Intel, unfortunately, getting poked away at by a couple of different teams, and they run into Turbo, and Turbo just perfectly set up to take that fight. Still a great game from Intel, but Turbo in the perfect position to continue to hold on to that first place spot, and Zerbo just beaming right now with this R301, punishing these other squads. Current kill leader in the game, and Turbo, this seems like their game to lose.
That ain't fair right there. If his R301 shots are hitting like that, that is not fair. My gosh, beautifully played by Turbo, not only to wipe out Intel, which is one of the biggest competitions going into this leaderboard, but also to defend from the third party, defend their positioning here. Razor sitting up high. Round 6 zone coming to a close, and somehow we still have 5 squads on the map. Watch that counter. They got 2 teams within 20 meters of each other, and there's a third one just 30 meters out. Razor thought they had the high ground, and they did for quite some time. They had the best position, but now they're going to be forced to relocate. They're going to be forced to push up here. Shots are ringing out. You're seeing the pings go in. Razor do have an opponent in their sights, and the shots are connecting, but can they deal with them with taking minimal damage from the other teams that are around?
I don't know, circle's closing though, and keep an eye on your kill feed, folks. It is about to go crazy here momentarily. Razor still holding the high ground for the time being. The drill from the opposing Maggie, not going to get a whole lot done. Enough room on that roof for Razor to find some safety, and Turbo is going to be the team they may have to deal with first, just based on this sightline though. Important to note, one squad right below them here, and Razor still biding their time. Maggie ultimate out. They're going to try and drop on this squad. What can they do? They're boxed in. It's a Newcastle, and the blood is going to absolutely pour here on Stormpoint.
And just like that, we're down to 3 squads remaining here. Turbo not taking any damage despite the fact they're sitting towards the center of where the zone is closing in, and they're able to angle out so well. Team 8 are going to be eliminated. Who is left? I think it's just a 3v1 at this point. Yes, it is. That's it. Mike and Ike, they go down. Turbo waiting for the right opportunity to get those angles, to put down those shots, but more importantly, not taking any damage in return and earning that win. That's why they're the #1 squad going into Stormpoint, and they're the #1 squad going into our final 2 games.
Feels like Intel did almost everything that they needed to do to keep Turbo close, to continue to give themselves a chance going into the final 2 games. And Turbo just won up them. They just played better. They found Intel at the perfect time, gated them from a top 3 finish, and Turbo pick up their 2nd win of the day. Another big performance. Not going to be another 31-point banger like they started the day with, but Turbo's still going to be in a wonderful position when we check our Mobile One leaderboard. But before we do that, we've got a high-performance moment to check out from our friends at Mobile One. Let's take a look at what we got here from game number 4, and it's going to be the finish. Razor dropping down from the high ground, catching this team behind the Newcastle wall, but the problem is Turbo has all the angles that they need to get this clean third party. Razor gets taken out, the other squad gets finished up, and then Turbo quickly turns it into the final kill to grab the win.
For me, what's so impressive with watching Turbo is that they're so comfortable in any given situation. Their ability to adapt and their ability to have a game plan and just simply execute. You know, it's one thing to have the gun skill, to be able to win these gunfights that you see them find themselves in time and time again, but to also have the wherewithal of where you are in every given position. Like, is it time for you to rotate? Is it time for you to hold this team off? Is it time for you to slow the game down and take as little damage as possible? Is it time for you to speed it up? Turbo just are almost like a veteran squad. They seem like they play so well beyond their years. I'm so excited to see this team grow and continue to play together. I just think they played the game the right way.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of their ability to play at that quick pace, but then quickly adjust and slow things down when they need to, settle in, play that position, and bide their time when it is best for them. And I think that is how they've been able to pull out both of these wins. Aggressive when it makes sense, slow when they need to kick things back just a little bit. Let's take a look at where they stand, though, on our Mobile One leaderboard. And with that one, okay, it's not 31 points, but it's, 24, I think? That is still a banger from Turbo. 12 KP for them in this one. They open up that gap even further. And also, hats off to No Name. They were tied with Intel. They even had a better game than Intel with this one. A 14-point performance from No Name. And they retake sole position of 2nd place.
That's crazy. I mean, what a game by Turbo, No Name, and Intel. They were already the top 3 teams to begin with going into Stormpoint, but to be able to hold out and have that big of games, like literally shredding the entire lobby, great for them. And it's going to be tough for anybody to break in. I mean, Mike and Ike are still in striking distance. Kraken's Lair still has opportunities to maybe crack that top 3, but it's going to be tough for anybody to catch up to these 3 players, or 3 teams, excuse me.
Good luck. Good luck. You're going to be hard-pressed to do it because Turbo just seems to be on another level right now. And at that 70-point threshold, they're in a very comfortable spot going into our last 2 games. I hope you're ready, Tony. I certainly am. I hope the folks at home are. We're going to have more Series Z when we come back. Game 5 in just a few.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We've already seen one game on Storm Point, and we're about to see two more. And I'm also really excited to see the teams that have glowed up on that last game. I mean, we talked about Turbo dropping the plus 24, even No Name with the plus 14, and Intel with the plus 11. Some other teams that didn't perform exactly the way we wanted to them had to be Aegon and Super Silly Gaming, two teams that were within striking distance of that top three. Sadly, only were able to get +1 in that last game. Hopefully, their final two on Storm Point go a lot better.
Yeah, Razor had a solid game. Definitely didn't end the way that they were hoping. You're kind of stuck, between a rock and a hard place in those high ground positions. Sometimes when you have a team right below you and then a team with a good sight line across the way, if you can't deal with that team with the good sight lines, you're essentially going to have to ultimately drop when that zone pushes you right into essentially a firing range. So Razor doing the best they can. Ultimately, they get taken out in the fight, but they put themselves in a good position in that game. I think we just need to see them in some more early game fights, right? You need to be coming to that late zone with 5, 6, 7 KP already to your name, because ultimately, if you don't do that, that gap is only going to close a little bit, right? You can't be putting up 9, 10, or 11 points a game at this point in the tournament. If you want to close that gap, you need to be up in the 18s, to 16 to 18 range if they really want to make some progress here. So, good signs from Razor. They need to keep working on it, though.
Yeah, that's one thing about the scoring that's really important, is that you need a balanced attack. I mean, a win is that's your 12 points, and maybe get yourself 2 or 3 KP to get that win. You're talking about a max of 15, unless you come into these end games with more points. Give you example, like we saw Turbo drop a 31 bomb in game number 1, and just in the last game dropping 24 points. Sadly, sometimes that 10, 11, 12 point game isn't going to be enough, especially when you're fighting already uphill. So it's going to be really exciting to see where teams go from here. As of right now, Turbo, No Name, and Intel are the clear top 3, but one thing I learned about Apex is anything could happen.
Sure, and we saw the top 3 all showing up in that last game, because as you already mentioned, Intel with some solid points, No Name with a great game there as well, and Turbo obviously with the win. So good to see the top 3 all showing up there, but it just makes the job more difficult for everybody else. Now, we'll jump right off the bat here with Turbo checking in with their drop here early on, and they've been the best team, no question, today. There's a reason they're at 70 points through 4 games. We'll have to see if they can keep that rolling here in the final 2. Meanwhile, Intel, who have been just the kings of the 50-50s here today, with an early knock on their side, and Icy going to take quite a bit of damage. That is the Volt that I like to see. Intel wiping them out. The final kill there onto Steezy gives Intel a wonderful start here to Game 5.
Intel were so good at these 50-50 gunfights that I'm pretty sure if me and you joined the lobby and tried to third-party them on the side of the other team, we'd probably still lose a 3v5, a 3v6, man. They are playing so well off of the 50-50s. Intel bringing us down within 16 squads. Mike and Nike might be getting into a battle of their own. There's TSG that aren't too far away, and if that Skynade connect, I can only imagine Mike and Nike will try to play through it. My gosh.
Dang, MJ looking like John Elway out there, just tossing bombs. Great shots with the R301 as well, and Mike and I confident. Seems like they want to chase this down. Great shots once again. MJ is looking to hit the go button, wants to chase down this player, and is going to slow down for the time being, but let me cook, man. Able to catch Swift there. That's going to be the crack and the knock onto Sly Doom, and TSG only a matter of time here. That's going to be the final kill picked up by Wizard Coin, and Savage, the final member to fall. Good night, TSG.
Mike and Nike had found themselves 15 points behind the top 3, so those 3 kill points are valuable. As Mike and Nike on one knee give a little prayer to their opponent, saying thank you for the KP. You will help us as we make our run late in this tournament. Mike and also really blessed within the zone too. The wall is currently within the outer zone and within the inner, not too far away, pulling towards Lightning Rod and Thunder Watch. Really interesting to see the zone pull that far north like that. So any team that landing Lightning Rod, even like Stormcatcher, they feel comfortable because like we kind of talked about before. If you go towards that bottom side of the zone and have to fight uphill, it can be really tough. So anybody landing Fish Farms, anybody landing even Launchpad, Barometer, Cenote Cave, they have an uphill battle to fight. Multiple teams as they try to make their way in, and then teams also holding them out, like, for example, Intel.
Yeah, and another team that got a really good pull on the zone here is Turbo. They started Thunderwatch. Not sure if they got in an early fight or if this is all to their own, but they've gotten to go from Thunderwatch up to Lightning Rod seemingly all by themselves. Yeah, no KP for the squad here. So almost this entire northeastern quadrant of the map entirely belonging to Turbo here. This is a great start for them. They're going to be so looted when anybody tries to rotate into the area, so they're going to be well set up and kitted to deal with those fights when they come.
We have Purple Dragon on screen right now. Glow Gang not too far for them. Pablo yet to heal his shields. I was about to say, I wonder if he's out of heals yet, but he just finally started to pull the cells. I'm not sure if Purple Dragon are in a position where they could really chase down this kill. I mean, you see round one zone starting to close in. You're not in much of a favorable position, and on top of that, you don't have a Valkyrie to your name. You're going to be forced to really hoof it. I could imagine Purple Dragon not even thinking about chasing that squad, and right now, they need to think of their next step ahead. What are they going to do to make it toward that inner zone as safely as possible, and then fighting from there?
And they're just taking their time here. No rush from Purple Dragon. Doesn't look like they want to aggress too bad on a Glow Gang. And Glow Gang has retreated for the most part. Team Diverge now the nearest squad here. And looks like they're just biding their time. They've got to rotate to the east. They're going to finish looting up here and take the slow and steady approach for the time being.
I'm not mad at it. I mean,
No.
I would have thought an early rotation would be better, but you know what? This can work out in their favor. In fact, looks like their opposition was hanging around as well. Team Diverge just 60 meters away from them, so slow and steady might be the way to win this race. Maybe Purple Dragon can win out this gunfight, get themselves some valuable KP going in towards the mid and the end game. With the zone closing in, though, I can only imagine that this is not the fight they really want to take from the outside, and now one of their players ends up going down. So that could be real trouble here for Purple Dragon. The Seer ult has already been dropped. Is it too late for Purple Dragon to get out of this?
Yeah, Purple Dragons took the slow and steady approach, and Team Diverge came to them, but with ST going down, it looks like Purple Dragon is just cutting their losses and bailing. That kill's going to be finished off. The zone has arrived here in checkpoint, and Purple Dragon seem to be bailing out of the area. They may have an opportunity to come and pick up the banner, but we'll have to see. That's unfortunate from Purple Dragon. Felt like they were in a solid position and maybe looking to go for the rotation, but Diverge just comes in, picks up that one straggler, and now Purple Dragon have to fight as a two-man.
Sometimes your strategies don't go as well as you want them to, and obviously that wasn't a part of the game plan for them. Meanwhile, PJ, they find themselves in a favorable position here. Looks like a team might be chasing down in Timons, but they're within the inner zone. Well, nades are already flying. They say, you know what? If nades are flying, so are we. Ooh. Owen and PJ taken to the skies, but one player didn't have the opportunity to heal up, and that player actually ended up getting cracked. 67 out of the 30-30. Can they finish that player off before landing? My gosh, Owen somehow getting rinsed from the skies. Can Timon's raid now make it in time? They want to try to get some value off of that knock.
Yeah, the one player wasn't able to heal the shields, and then I think they cracked the Valkyrie on the way up. So they almost got 2 knocks out of that Valkyrie ultimate. Likely they're going to be able to get the reset here and get the res, so they should be okay. But that's still really good shots, and unfortunately not able to catch 2 in that fight there. Meanwhile, Aegon by AOC very close to Razor here, and they are seemingly ready to go. They're going to get the crack on this one player very low, peeking in with nades available, and they actually left the door open, which will just make it easy for Aegon to get in here.
Orioles has to avoid the black hole, but does so masterfully, even connecting shots with the Prowler, now collecting a bit of a new angle. This has been beautifully played by them so far, and just like that, the elimination does come in. He was trying to wait for a force to be able to crawl through the door, but that loot box is actually taking up room, so I had to go for a bit of a dangerous revive there. Luckily, it's going to work in their favor. Nobody in position to third party just yet, but we do see another battle coming out here. It's Mike and Knight getting into it with Avalanche PK.
MJ looking for the push. R301 in hand once again, and the initial knock here on the Anxiety is going to make a lot of problems here for this squad. MJ going to hit the grab lift, maybe try and get up to the high ground. No, is actually concerned with the third party here, and it's going to be Intel finishing off Jet there. So Mike and Ike fighting on multiple fronts and doing just fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a new kill leader, and his name is MJ. I done told you, he got the moves like Michael Jackson, got the shot like Michael Jordan. The man puts in work. Mike and Nike, so tough to deal with as we get down to 12 squads, and Mike and Nike fully kitted, purple shields across the board. R301 and Mastiff in the hands of MJ, so things are looking very good for Mike and Nike. A little bit of a longer rotation towards the zone, but they love playing edge. They love playing for as many kills as possible, and Glow Gang, if you don't be careful, you might just be another victim.
MJ, you better clip that out and put that at the start of your next highlight reel, man. Moves like Michael Jackson and the shot like Michael Jordan. Easy clip. Easy W right there. Tony just giving you a gift on that one. Mike and Ike stepping forward. Possibly the rest of Team Intel. Remember, they took out Jet just moments ago. And maybe looking to finish off the job here. Is MJ going to slide down the hill? Wizard Coin looking to follow, but the shots from the Prowler from up above going to cause problems as MJ is going to go down. But Justin did it. Is going to get knocked quickly in turn. It's not the rest of Team Intel. It's a totally different squad. Wizard Coin with the shots. Prowler going to land a bit. Is going to get the crack and is going to get the finish.
Mike and Ike's out here fighting the entire lobby at this point. Like, Mike and Ike are taking a 3v17. I'm talking about just the entire teams they have to go through, but they're looking confident. They're looking competent in every single one of these gunfights. Even when MJ goes down, you see Let Me Cook and Wizard Coin step it up and be able to get the slays that they're looking for. The Valkyrie ult most likely was probably used here by Mike, and I can imagine with that round 2 zone started to close in quickly, but with just 9 squads remaining, Mike and Ike looking very good.
And you know what? They got Let Me Cook, man, in here, and I think the whole team is cooking right now in this game. Mike and Ike looking to have their best performance of the night so far. We'll see if they can keep it rolling. Meanwhile, Team Diverged looking to get going. This is a team that played as a 2-man in the first 2 games of the day. Didn't really get a lot done during that time. Now with Sleepy Panda in the fold, things rolling. 3rd game with him here and available. They still have not been able to build a whole lot of momentum. Just 15 points so far. They've got 2 kills in this game, so a solid start here to Game 5. They need to get things rolling here sooner rather than later if they want to have a strong finish to the day.
And you see Team Diverge playing that all the way towards the edge, still playing the back end of the zone, waiting for any late rotators, using that sear from G's Bird. They're trying to get themselves as easy kills as possible. But the closest team is Mike and Ike, and I'm not sure that Mike and Ike are taking this rotation. They're taking a much different one, I can imagine. Oh, no, hold on. They're coming out of the zone, but not there. I was going to say, don't tell me they knew that Mike and Ike were coming out of that exact area. It looks like they're coming out of a much different one. Sorry about that. I got scared for a minute.
Yeah, they're coming out up north into the western side here of High Point. So they took the long rotation here. And my question is, I'm actually very curious, observers, if we could check in with Turbo momentarily. We saw them early on in the game. They got the very beneficial drop. Oh, look at that loot. This is exactly what I was afraid of. We talked about how they got this whole northeastern quadrant all to themselves early on. They've won one fight, but now since they've been able to continuously get scans and set up in the zone, they have just stacked all the heals that they could find up on this roof. They've got the range to deal with the teams rotating into the area. Turbo are going to be a problem, plain and simple. It's not going to be their best game in terms of points on the day, that is for sure, but it might be the cleanest game that they play because the entire lobby is just going to come to them.
And that was the one thing I was interested in finding out what Turbo would look like going into this lobby, because most of the time they have to take long rotation to get in towards the zone, and they capitalize on the kills and the third parties that they're able to create while rotating into the zone. But with that zone landing dead on them here on Lightning Rod, they are still comfortable enough to slow the game down and play towards the end game. You see Mike and I start to come in. You did see that G's Bird and Sleepy Panda were able to hold out a duo coming from that area and forcing them to rotate. Looks like they're actually going to chase them out, while Aegon are getting into a whole nother battle here, and the Prowler lays down the law onto Big Leggy, bringing us down to just 7.
Yeah, I think it was the final player on BJ Hype, so Akon able to clean that up to 35 points, trying to chase down Team Mike and Ike, so well played there by Aegon. They will have a bit of a difficult rotation, though, because I think the time that they spent chasing down that last player, another squad rotated from the south and may have cut them off from a safer rotation into the zone, so Aegon's aggression might come back to bite them here momentarily as we take a look at Mike and Ike. 4th place for them so far tonight. They're in the western edge of this zone. Round 3 closing, and round 4 really going to constrict, and that is when that position is going to be very, very good for Turbo, because they're set up on the high ground, right smack dab in the center of the next zone.
CRQ coming in. I believe it's Team Diverge they might have their sights on right now. Seem to be in the middle. They seem to be the meat of a sandwich they do not want to be a part of. You have Mike and Ike on one half, Team Diverge in the middle, and I believe it's Super Silly Gaming on the other side of this. So Team Diverge, they got to try to find some kind of way into a more favorable position. They're going to continue to be held out and zoned in by all of these squads here.
No Name's still alive. Turbo still alive. I'm curious, did Intel get taken out? Are Intel still alive in this game? Are the top 3 just still rolling? We'll have to find out. Mike and Ike, though, ready to duke it out here. That's going to be the ultimate coming out from the horizon. Oh, Wizardcoin just able to get the armor swap to stay alive. Mike and Ike in a bit of trouble.
And let me cook. The first player to officially go down, but you notice the MG's all the way down to 1 shot, looking to play a battery. Somehow is able to get it off, but there's so much screen clutter coming in. Wizardcoin and them going down. MJ, the final player, and he's gonna get stuffed courtesy of Team Diverge. I said they have to find themselves in a more favorable position they have, and that's headbutting Mike and Ike.
I feel like I was in another one of those PvPX tweets where he just puts out the screenshot and says, "Who am I trying to shoot at right now? Tell me which legend this is." And you can't see absolutely anything. Diverge now on the triple red Evos, looking to have their best game of the night so far. Box of Tea gonna go down. Great push here from Diverge.
Team Diverge, triple red armors. We are down to just 4 squads. Everybody fully loaded at the moment here, but one knock can change that completely. Sleepy Panda almost getting put to sleep right there. All the way down to 1 shot he goes. Luckily, has enough time to play the battery, has enough time to play that med kit. The CRQ, the micro drones will end up delaying just a bit, but Team Diverge do have enough time to simply reset, and they find themselves within that zone. So although it doesn't look like the most comfortable position in the world, they still must be feeling good. As I say that, Horizon Q goes out. They tried to get that rotation off, and that's not going to happen here. They're being held out. Looks like Turbo's one of the teams that have the height advantage on them. I believe it was Chickus who ended up getting some free shots here. There's just not enough room within this zone for all 4 of these teams. Somebody's got to go.
Yep. And the fighting looks like it's going to happen on the low ground. It may be up to Turbo to jump down here and get in on the fun, as Aegon by AOC are actually punishing Team Diverge. GS Bird is down and Aj as well. It's just down to Sleepy Panda to keep them alive, but that's going to be it. Chick is able to finish it off, and now just 3 remaining. It's Aegon by AOC, No Name, and Turbo. Zerbo going to get fried by the RE45, and Orioles trying to hold it down.
This is what Yeso calls fun. He's sick in the head. The RE45 putting in the shots. Orialis putting down the damage, but he's going to be the only one alive here for Aegon as he tries to rotate out of the situation. His teammates do end up getting shredded, but No Name also down to their final player and just 2 squads remaining, and it's a 3v1. Chickas, I have faith in you. I know how strong of a player you are, but come on. I've seen this story before. I've done this math. Turbo, they're going to be coming out with the win.
Well, and credit to Chickas, is still able to pick up at least 2 or 3 KP. Despite playing as a rat in that last fight, just dancing around the edge and hitting some players. That's good work from Chickas, but guess what? It's Turbo once again. 2 wins in a row, 3 so far on the day. They're going to chase down triple digits here on this day. They're going to have the opportunity to go for it in Game 6.
Yeah, well played by Turbo once again. I feel like we sound like a broken record when saying that. Like, from their offense to their defense, from their game planning to their adaptability, Turbo just play winning Apex, and you see it time and time again. Even on that zone where it pulls towards Lightning Rod, they were like, okay, you know what? Okay, sure. We won't have a 31-point game as we try to chase down every kill in the entire lobby. Let's let the game come to them, and they're even comfortable doing that. We saw that triple take. We saw those long-range shots connect as they tried to grief everybody, keep them at bay. Turbo are dangerous. Watch out for them going into next year.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. Let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here, Tony. And I think you make a great point. And it goes back to their ability to adjust and change their pace of play. And I think they perfectly showed it in this game. We're checking in, though, with this Mobile One high performance moment. And it's Aegon with this push onto Team Diverge, wiping out GS Bird and Aj there. And then Turbo finally makes themselves known in this fight, and while Orioles is able to get some good initial damage, Aegon just gets wiped out on the back end of this fight, and then it's all said and done for the squad in this game, because while Orioles escapes momentarily, gets hunted down by Chickas, and then Turbo finishes things off.
Yeah, I love the shots out of his RE45. Look how much value he's getting even through the Bangalore smoke, connecting on everyone. But the question is, what happened? They were looking so good, and then you see 2 teammates just drop here. This is when it happens. It's Turbo. Look how Turbo come in. Zerbo gets ripped. Beautiful shots, and I think they have the advantage here. Kickus has plenty of time to heal up, but they continue to grind forward, and eventually, as these shots are going out, multiple angles are coming in, the collapse, and eventually down to the final player.
Good fight there from Aegon. Unfortunately, Turbo with the perfect third-party timing to come in and clean them up. And, of course, it leads to their 3rd win on the day. Let's see where they stand on our Mobile One leaderboard, because they were at 70 points coming into this one. Another 20-point game from them, up to 90. And, I mean, look, sure, if Turbo goes out early and No Name throws down their best game of the day, they could do it. 22 points is not insurmountable in a single game, but you better pray that somebody decides the 50-50 Turbo and somehow beats them. You're going to be hard-pressed to do it, but Turbo sitting comfortably at the top of this leaderboard going into our final game of the day.
I'm just saying, if I'm No Name, I'm putting a bounty on Turbo. I'm going into the Discord
I'll
right
send
now.
You all the V-Bucks, man.
$20 a piece for the team that drops them within the first 4 squads. Send everyone after Turbo on drop. But the way they're playing, they might just take the challenge and still come out on top, because Turbo literally are playing that well.
Good luck. That's all I got to say. Good luck if you want to go and fight Turbo right off drop. You will likely come out battered and bruised if you come out of it at all. We're going to head to a break right now. Tony and I coming back with our final game of the day. We'll finish off this week's version of Series E Apex Legends when we come back.
What am I to do with this? I'm headed to the top of the game and it's scary, but I'm finna handle it. Break it down like an analyst. I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist. I'm never old enough to give a promise.
Just one more ring to rule them all. Sorry, wrong. One more game to decide what's going to happen
I got the
here
one ring
in this tournament, and it's going to be on Storm Point. We've seen plenty of highs, seen a few lows, and we've seen plenty of hot drops and Apex action. It's been so exciting to be here. I'm Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Casting. I got my man Yeso, and Yeso, tell me what are some of your favorite moments that we've seen so far in this tournament?
For me, it's been teams responding. Turbo coming out strong. My little call out of Intel in game 2, and then they quickly came out with their 2 best games of the day and a big win there in game 3. I feel like Mike and Ike has gotten better as the day has gone on as well. And also, what you continue to point out about Turbo, their ability to adjust and play different styles and continue to succeed just as much as they do when they're playing that hyper-aggressive, fight-heavy edge style that they played in Game 1, because you saw it. They really pulled back on the accelerator there in Game 5. The circle came to them, and they said, fine, we're not going to fight it. We'll set up where the circle's going to go, bide our time, and let the lobby come to us. They did exactly that. They cleaned up in the fights and took the win.
Well, Turbo, rightfully so, sitting in the number 1 spot, 90 points to their name, and it doesn't even seem like a question of will they get to the triple digits, but how much so in the triple digits will they be, where there's other teams in the tournament so far as well, like No Name sitting behind them at 68 points. You know, if they have a crazy game while Turbo doesn't have the best of games in this final one, maybe they can usurp them. Intel within striking distance as well at 53. And then you have 2 other teams that are just 3 points separated in Mike and Ike and Aegon. So there's still other teams that are fighting for that top 3, although it'd be near, I would say, I don't want to say impossible, but I want to say improbable for anybody to take that number 1 spot away from Turbo. But crazier things have happened.
Certainly, and I'll say it is highly unlikely that Turbo doesn't win the day, right? If they get taken out super early, the opportunity is there for No Name, but that's essentially the only team that has a shot. So what I want to see in this last game is I really want those 2nd to 4th place teams, No Name, Intel, Mike and Ike. I want all of them to show up, and I want to see all of those teams in the top 3, in the top 5. That would be a great finish, in my opinion. Or if somebody else wants to have a really big pop-off and finish their day on a high note, I'm all for that. But my eyes are definitely on Intel, No Name, Mike and Ike. Finish on a strong performance here today. Save your best game here for last, and let's see it here. And maybe they knock off Turbo. Maybe they prevent the back-to-back-to-back on Storm Point W's for Turbo.
See, I'm on a totally different wave. I think Turbo start off, get 5 kills immediately, and then just go to dinner. They just leave the game. You get 5 kills and then just leave, bro. That'd be the most G thing ever done in an Apex tournament.
They just get the 5 kills, they go in the Discord, and then they just drop their like cash out in there.
That's it.
Like, we'll see y'all later.
That's what I want to see. You got to get 5 or 6 kills to do it, but at that point, all right, guys, have a good one. Peace.
Yep, I'll see you later. Hey, that's a flex. That's a flex, and they've put themselves in a position with the way they've played so far today to play with that kind of confidence. So we'll see how things shake out. At the very least, they aren't getting blessed by the zone the way they did in game number 5. They're going to have to make a rotation, which isn't a bad thing for them. Just look at game number 1. They are more than happy to fight their way to the zone and fight their way to a win. But they aren't going to have to go far. The zone that you see setting up in and around Command Center for the time being. Intel in a great position as well. MJ and the rest of Mike and I up near the wall in a solid position here too. So a lot of these big teams that have had solid performances today in a good spot to make things happen here in our final game.
And I feel like by now, I think I think they have an understanding that there is a team that are landing over towards high point. So I think they take this rotation a little bit later, maybe deal with the team that might rotate in from high point, or just make sure that their backs are cleared. And then they come in that back way towards that center zone. It's not a bad zone for Turbo whatsoever. Lone Gang not in a bad battle whatsoever, with the nades coming in quick. Luckily able to avoid most of that damage, but that is some early damage coming in onto Glow Gang. They're going to be forced to play that heal. I believe it's them versus Avalanche PK, and nobody within third-party distance, so they have plenty of space to finish out this fight.
Yeah, Glow Gang taking their time here. Also, shout out to Chickus. Keep showing up in that kill feed. Obviously was making things happen at the end of that last game, and actually fighting Turbo. Turbo could be in trouble here early on. This could open the door for No Name. Again, they still have to have a huge performance, but if that continues, if Turbo gets taken out here early on, it totally changes the complexion of this game. Sung is down. They can recover that banner, but Turbo not in the greatest position to start this game.
The bounty has been received here, but will it be cash awarded to the team that knocks out Turbo? 2 purple shields so far for Turbo at the moment, and looking for an opportunity to get Sung back. But so far, for the first time in this tournament, we're going to see Turbo playing on their back foot. Aegon currently trying to grief the team that's doing the armory. That seems, see, that's just me. Team is just out here trying to get themselves some better loot, get themselves some better shields, and you just want to ruin their fun. That ain't right. I don't appreciate that, Aegon.
Hey, you want to, trap yourself inside of a big steel box. Aegon's going to not complain about you wrapping their present for them. We'll see if they can get anything out of it. Aegon, consistent across the day, up to 43 points here through 5 games. Looking to maybe cross that 50-point threshold here in the final one of the day. We'll see how things shake out on that front. They're actually going to back away, so they don't want to hold around that armory to try and clean up any kills as they exit. They're going to back away. Meanwhile, we check in with Kraken's Lair Gaming. They're going to hit the Valkyrie Ultimate over top. They're actually another team in the area of this armory, so they could elect to sit around it and try and pick up the kills, or they may try and chase down the rest of Aegon, and they're going to find them on the hill, and they're actually going to be able to get up into a really good position. This is a huge ultimate for Kraken's Lair. They have an opportunity to wipe out Aegon here.
Wasn't mad at that rotation from Aegon. Didn't want to get themselves trapped within the zone off of 50-50, but Kraken's Lair Gaming just happened to be taking to the skies and now chasing them down. Either way, though, even though you have the positioning, you have the landing, everything working in your favor, you still have to win the gunfights, and so far we do end up seeing Kikis go down for Aegon. This could be really good. I believe it's going to be a 2v3 right now, and Aegon electing to already push out. Are they going to collect a new angle? Can they play the revive here? Is that team now coming out of the armory? So many questions to be had here. 15 squads on the map.
And I think you're right. I think you called that the team came out of the armory, and now this is a 3-team battle up on top of this hill. 2 players going to retreat down the hill. Flesh tags there from Orioles on that 1 player, but they're going to be able to get away. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Team Diverge taken out. The last remaining member was Aj, finished off there by SD. Aegon going to have to back away. They are able to get Kikik's beacon, so that's huge. They can get the res on their third, and Kraken's Lair Gaming comes out of this relatively unscathed.
Yeah, the tides turned just a bit because they found themselves in a really awkward position. Although they might be down a man, they're still able, or down a player, I should say, excuse me, they're still able to come out there, grab that banner, maybe bring them back up. So far, not the worst for Aegon. Meanwhile, Intel are going to get eliminated quick. Tyson cooking them. Watch out, though. Mike and Ike are right on their tail. They already dropped that Horizon Ultimate, that black hole to try to suck in the defense. Tyson not out of the water just yet. They still have to heal up and stop Mike and Ike from approaching this building.
That one's going to sting. Intel with an okay start to the day. 2 really good games in games 3 and 4, and then not the finish that you're looking for. Kind of going out not the way they would have hoped here in games 5 and 6. So unfortunate there, but great fight there from Tyson. They're now inside of that top 10 by just a hair, and they'll be looking to build off of it. 3 kills for them so far. Just 2 squads taken out so far in this game, and now Tyson looking to get a bit of a reset, get into this fight. Horizon going to drop down essentially right on Kodakami's head. It's going to be MJ, and Kodakami gets taken out, and Mike and Ike looking for more. Cruising, looking for shots from the high ground, but that might be it. Stankini finished off. It's just Cruising left here fighting for the name of Tyson, but I don't think he's going to last all that long because Mike and Ike are on the hunt.
They were hanging on by the hair of their chinny chin chin, and now they're getting shaved off here, courtesy of Mike and Ike. Beautiful shots with this R301. And keep in mind, it's not just No Name that are in the vicinity. It's also Tyson. It's also, hold on, there's more going on than just a one-team battle that Mike and Ike are fighting through. It's another team that's now gotten involved and is trying to capitalize on the situation. Luckily, Mike and Ike haven't taken off too much damage. They're able to back down, regroup a little bit here. MJ did get the finish on his kills, and Cruising now going to be the only player left for Tyson. But how long can you hide with all the Seers in the area?
I don't know how long it's going to last. The good thing for Cruising is that Wizard Coin's attention is taken by this other squad for the time being. No Name has grabbed their attention so far. MJ going to drop off to avoid that arc star, and it looks like they may just retreat to the wall here. Mike and Ike maybe not seeing a lot that they like in this fight, and they'll take their time and get a bit of a reset.
Somehow Mike and Ike able to get out of that situation without receiving any knocks. Wizard Coin definitely going down to just health there, but now you're seeing Wizard Coin start to play a battery. You see Mike and Ike get themselves within the safety of this building, which, by the way, is also towards the edge of the zone. They've successfully regrouped here. Meanwhile, No Name trying to get any information possible. It's the final player of Tyson that I believe they have within their sights. The alternator shots connecting, even going up that horizon lift, and just like that, Team 5 will be eliminated. That's going to be Cruising. He was the final player of Tyson. But where did Glow Gang come from? So now we have a 6th party situation, and nobody was even invited to this. We got some wedding crashers here. No Name not having to deal with Glow Gang and doing well. That's what happens when you deal with your battles quick and decisive. You come out with very little health taken, and now Mike and Ike, who were the original aggressors, now they might have themselves a free 3v2.
So there's so much to talk about here. Mike and Ike and Tyson fighting, then No Name comes in for the third party, and Cruising survives for the time being. When No Name arrived, Glow Gang were about 275 to 300 meters away, and they rotated in. They were that third closest squad to the battle. They rotated in, but basically as soon as they arrive, they get bodied. No Name absolutely take them out, but then Mike and Ike jumps right back into the action. So we had watched them retreat to wall. They get the reset they wanted, and then they immediately came back for more, and it has benefited them big time. So many death boxes up here at the top of this zip line. They're going to be able to clean up this final member hiding here. It's Gyozi of No Name, and No Name will survive for the time being, but not the way that they were hoping here. And Mike and I coming in to just play cleanup duty, and they get it done.
See the zone starting to pull heavily towards the north, and Mike and I definitely loving that positioning from that zone here. SSG, not Space Station, but Super Silly Gaming, also within the vicinity as well.
Yep,
really
SSG.
good for them and Mike and Ike. And Mike and Ike are very similar to Turbo, where they have the ability to be as aggressive as possible, but also have the ability to adapt whenever things start to go in a not advantageous way for them. And you saw that being put on full display right then and there. They were aggressive. They got the kills they were looking for. They got out when they needed to, and then dipped right back in with a third party in a 3v2. It was so well played. Meanwhile, Turbo, once again playing as a duo right now. They were sitting at the #1 spot, 90 points going into this final game, and seemed to be destined to make it into the triple digits. Now that's going to be much harder as they're playing as a duo and seemingly being chased out. But Timmons, Raid, and Peen going to get into it a little bit here over towards the west side of the map.
Yeah, something tells me that despite Turbo losing Sung, they will somehow find a way to rat it out long enough and clean up a couple of kills on the edge of fights to hit 100 points. I have a sneaking suspicion, Tony, that they can make it happen. We'll have to keep an eye on them as this game continues. Only 9 squads remaining here, and Timmins Raid likely going to have to use this Valkyrie ultimate for this rotation because I don't think that they want to go through Command Center right now. We saw on the map there were 2 teams, I believe, already set up in that area. So that is a very risky position to rotate through. My guess is they get whatever high ground they can. They hit the Valkyrie ultimate, try and rotate over top.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a bad play for them whatsoever. And luckily they have plenty of time to make that decision, make that rotation. Peen, on the other hand, Wingman shots not quite connecting here, but it's a couple warning shots. So letting them know, like, hey, if you get any closer, you're going to get shredded here soon.
Oh, there
Something about the 2x on the Wingman just doesn't sit right with me.
Really?
It's either an HCOG or I'll even take a Digi threat on there, I guess, in this meta. But I 2x on a Wingman.
You're telling me,
right, man. It ain't right.
You're telling me it ain't right to put the best sight in the game on a Wingman.
It's the best sight on certain weapons. There's certain weapons that it goes with. Yeah, I'm not putting one on an R99.
I mean, look, I'll always put a 1x on an R99 if I can, but if I don't have one, next best thing, 2x Bruiser. All I'm saying. Mike and Ike here, though, they're bruising this squad, as that's going to be the knock. It's Timmins Raid that Valk ulted into the area, and they've just hand-delivered Mike and Ike some more kills. They're going to get wiped out, looking for the reset here, and the res on to MJ. Wizardcoin going to take quite a bit of damage here. They're going to need to retreat to safety.
A risky res over towards the middle of that roof, especially with how many horizons that we have in the lobby, but somehow Mike and Ike able to fully reset here. You have Let Me Cook with that gold shield, MJ with the fully red, and Wizardcoin not that far out from upgrading his purple to red himself. And then look at all of the armor swaps that Mike and Ike have to their disposal. Like, they're sitting in what they feel like is God spot at the moment. They're fully looted up. This might be Mike and Ike's game to lose right now with the positioning and the way they've been playing so far. 7 squads on the map as Team 8 have just been eliminated here. 16 seconds, and we're going to start moving into that round number 4.
Mike and Ike looking really good in this one. Razor also trying to finish on a high note. Fighting here at the edge of the zone. Washi looking for those 30-30 shots that we saw earlier on in the day. He's going to miss a couple there. Player going to get knocked by the zone, but ultimately Razor will die to it. Turbo as well. So my prediction not going to come true there, Tony. Turbo not going to hit triple digits, but it might not matter.
See, then casters cursed them.
Yep.
They were destined for triple digits, and you done ruined their tournament right now.
Yep.
Turbo, I personally would take that if I were you. But Mike and Ike still sitting comfortably right now as they make it into the top 4, mind you. Round 4 zone closing about 1 minute and 17 seconds. Mike and Ike still sitting in what seems to be God spot at the moment. This building has so much utility, so much resources in it, and Mike and Ike seemingly are daring anybody to come in, but the final 4 squads are all fully loaded. We have full threesomes for everybody that's here in the lobby. Can Mike and Ike hold on for the win here?
We will see. They're pretty well kitted. You see all these death boxes around, plenty of resources there for them to pick up. MJ even going to grab them an armor swap, set it up here inside of the building. They're in a wonderful position right now, Tony. I don't think they have anything to complain about as they continue to just bring armor swaps inside, stack up their resources. They're going to be very difficult to pry out of this position. And there's only 3 squads that are going to have a chance to do it.
Still on board Mike and Ike here. 10 seconds. We're going to see round 4 zone be done with, and multiple teams are going to be forced to fight. You're seeing the pings go in. That team is not in the circle just yet, and Mike and Ike have a clear line of sight on them. Now, they have to be careful because there's still 2 other squads that can get angles on them, and as they're trying to grief this team coming in, they can get easy back shots onto Mike and Ike. But as of right now, this team that's directly over towards the northeast from Mike and Ike really are in trouble, and there they are. Zone's closing in. There's no time like the present. I think I saw the Bangalore smoke come in to try to get that rotation. But look at all the Seer Qs and the Valkyrie Qs coming in. It's not just Mike and Ike that are holding out. I think it's Kraken's Lair Gaming that also want a piece of the action. R301 shots start to connect. But we have the Bloodhound scan coming right back at us, and I didn't know where Mike and Ike is, but it doesn't matter. 72 from across the map. Middle's like Wizard Core gonna be avoided. Wizard Quid avoided all 3 of those kills, becomes our new kill leader here as we're down to just 3 squads remaining.
Well, and what are Super Silly and Kraken's Lair doing? Why are they not getting in here? You see all of those knocks coming through on the kill feed, and you don't threaten a third party. Mike and I got to freely just dump ammo into that other squad, and no repercussions for it. I don't know what Kraken's Lair and Super Silly are waiting for.
This is it. Mike and Ike has been daring everybody to come after him this whole time. The Kraken must be released if they want to come out with this win here. MJ going all the way down to 1 shot. That could be dangerous here. Somehow able to get the armor swap off. Are Mike and Ike finally getting pushed here? Is it KLG that are trying to force the action? You see their Seer ultimate coming in to try to hold this building down defensively. And now the Kraken's Lair Gaming have taken the roof. You think that's an advantage, but with one other team still here, they could be trying to get some free licks. Box OT, Drast, they could be trying to get the angles off, especially with the Kraber. Maybe being on this roof isn't as good as it normally would be in a 3v3 situation.
Yeah, the thing is Mike and Ike isn't threatened in any way, right? You may be up on the roof and have the high ground, but you're actually the most vulnerable of the 2 teams holding this building to Super Silly. So honestly, Mike and Ike could just slow play this, peek out when they want to get some shots, and hope that Kraken's Lair and Super Silly can wound each other. That might give them the opportunity to win this final fight. 3 squads remaining. It's already 12 KP for Mike and Ike in this one. They're definitely finishing with their best game of the day. Exactly what I was asking for, Tony, at the top here of game number 6. The question is, will it be a win? We're going to find out here real soon.
That's exactly what I was saying. Normally in the 3v3, I think the team that's on the roof has the advantage, but not in this situation right now. Now with another team, another variable to the equation, because as they get shot down, as they get shot up and be forced to back down, that's going to play right into the hands of Mike and Ike. But look where the zone is closing in on them. Really awkward position for both of these squads. Just really kind of eating away at the cover, especially for Krakens who are already playing the roof. Now they have no space to play on their Super Silly Gaming. I wasn't a fan of their positioning this whole time, but now it's looking very good, especially with 6 shots in the Kraber. Super Silly start to go off.
Yeah, we're going to see if Grook can get a shot here. Is trying to peek around these respawn beacons and see what they could get. Beautiful use of the gravity lift from down below. I believe that was MJ forcing KLG off of the roof. What a play using the utility of that Horizon. MJ, Galaxy Brain on that one. But here comes the util, the Arc Stars on top of Mike and Ike. That they're going to survive. And it looks like MJ is thinking about this Horizon ultimate to maybe throw it behind Kraken's Lair Gaming, but I think you hold it. I think you bide your time here.
Mike and Ike were just 7 points behind the number 3 team, and that being Intel. They got plenty of kill points to their name, but a win here can really help them climb that leaderboard. Easier said than done as the zone starts to close in. They have a little bit of this lift, a little bit of this wall to play for cover, but now all 3 of these teams are going to be forced to meet in the center. We are about to have ourselves a brawl. You see the Seer ult coming down from both of these teams. This is it. R301 shots, 124. Let me cook, absolutely frying one quickly. That's going to be Box OT. That's going to be the first one to go down. Wizard Coin goes down as well for Mike and Ike. The ordinances are starting to rain down here. The thermite burn, baby, burn. MJ now going to be the final player. Can he pull off the 1v3? No, he cannot. Release the Kraken. KLG taking our final game of the tournament.
just great patience there by KLG. They hold whatever cover that they can find for as long as possible. Also, a well-placed Horizon ultimate that I believe came from KLG to just tie down Mike and Ike for the time being, and ultimately it forces MJ to take the aggressive position, says, okay, fine, let's activate, let's go on to Super Silly Gaming here, see what we can get out of it. And well, great job, right? Well-placed Horizon ultimate from MJ, lays down all the utility on top and beams those players. The rest of his team gets fried on the back end by KLG, trapped in the middle, and then they clean things up. So I think that was really well played from KLG, who are, as you said, I think in the worst position of the three teams, but played it out really well.
Yeah, you know, and I talked about it before, you know, when you're on that roof in a 3v3, you have the advantage. When you're on that roof and you have a team right under you and another team that's literally zoning you out, it's tough to play the roof, but somehow they were able to do it. They were to turn lemons to lemonade, despite the fact that Horizon Q absolutely griefed them. You even saw the MJ try to get an angle with that black hole to try to pull them into the zone, try to get creative. I wonder if that was the play. Either way, I mean, it was just well played by KLG. We talk about the most aggressive teams that we have in the league or in our tournament, and how they're able to adapt to non-advantageous positions. Release the Kraken Lair Gaming. They were able to do just that.
Yeah, great finish from Kraken's Lair. Let's take a look at our final Mobile One high performance moment here of the day as we close out Game 6. And it's going to be the finish here, and you see it. There is the Horizon ultimate that forces MJ to go aggro, drops down his own, double arc star into a Thermite, and just melts Super Silly here, right? You can see, look at all those damage ticks on MJ's screen, able to assist in the finish. So they end up with a couple more KP there at the end of the game, but it's Kraken's Lair biding their time and going for the push when it mattered most that lets them clean up this fight.
And by the way, a little bit before this, Let Me Cook, he got some crazy R301 shots. He literally one-clipped one of the players as well. So as well as Mike and I played this, you know, if this was a 3v3, they come out with the win. But sadly, there was a whole nother team in KLG, and they're just sitting there, dance, my puppets, dance, as they fight it out. And eventually KLG, they come out, they're like, oh, all we have is a 3v1? Cool, MJ's great, but I mean, you're taking 1v3s in tournaments? Sadly, probably not the equation he was looking for.
No. But the big question for me is, did Mike and Ike steal second place from No Name? They picked up 14 kills at the end of that game, as well as the 9 points for second place. Was it enough? Let's find out, and we'll look at our Mobile One leaderboard here. Not quite enough. No Name getting it done and getting up to 75 points, but Mike and Ike finishing with their best game of the day gets them to a very nice 69 points on the day. They jump ahead of Intel. A strong finish from the squad.
It's crazy to me because this is one of the quietest that we've seen Mike and Ike so far in our tournament play, and still they're able to put up 69 points, and still able to steal away a third place finish. Like, when I've seen them play even better than we've seen them here today. So it's actually crazy to me that their quietest tournament that I've seen so far still nets them a third place finish. Also, to give a huge shout out to Turbo. I just think if you're able to play aggressive, and slow the game down when it's necessary, and adapt to these situations, I think that's such a powerful tool, you know. And you're only as good as your ability to adapt to any given situation. And Turbo have shown time and time again that they can do that, and that's why they've earned a huge win here today.
Yeah, great job from Turbo. Also, hats off to No Name, who had a little more quietly, right? They had the one win, but I would say throughout the day, they kind of flew under the radar, but they were just consistently putting up solid game after solid game. It's why they finished in second place and why they were the one team that was really challenging Turbo on a consistent basis. So hats off to them as well. Really good performance. As we get ready to wrap things up, Tony, any final words for the people here as we wrap up another day of Series E Apex Legends?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for being an amazing co-caster. I know you had to step in. I believe Tom is over in London doing his things. He's probably eating beans on toast or something. Thank you guys so much in the chat. You guys were live. You guys were hype, doing your thing. You know, I love you. And, you know, also production observers. I say it all the time. You see our pretty faces in the front. There's plenty of ugly ones in the back that are absolutely doing this thing and doing everything possible to make this tournament run. So thank you, Esports Arena, for putting on amazing production and allowing me to do what I love. I love casting, and for some reason, you guys continue to have me on. It's actually kind of crazy.
I will co-sign everything that Tony said except for the ugly faces. I can see them. There's some gorgeous humans here in the production room just on the other side of the glass. But I could have said it maybe just a little bit better myself, Tony, but you crushed it. So I completely agree. Always a pleasure to come and hang out with you, my friend, and you killed it on the cast today. It was so much fun. Always great to hang out with you. That is going to do it for us, folks. Back tomorrow, Guilty Gear Strive, and then Multiverses on Friday to wrap up the week, so don't miss out on all of that fun. If you're going out to London, hope you have a wonderful time, and best of luck to all of the teams competing and everybody just watching. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be an absolute banger of a tournament for the rest of this week. But for myself, Tony, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.